Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to round 2 of the 2021 RaceFactory Gaming National Championship at MX Simulator. We're here in Thunder Valley in Lakewood, Colorado, just outside of Denver for the second round of 12 rounds in this championship, and getting ready to go racing here at Thunder Valley, a favorite track of many riders here on the circuit. This is a great circuit here, though. Lots of elevation change, off-camber corners, long straightaways, and we're going to show you a lap here of the track, all brought to you by atom.com. On board with us here on the broadcast this year. Adam Holm bringing you a hot lap here of the Thunder Valley National. Head over to atom.com, check out some of his music, his line of merch, and a lot of other things, and support the brands that support us, as he's going to take you on a lap here up into this first turn complex through the Studio 8 hole shot award down into the second turn, kind of sharp left-hand corner. Then it's all uphill from here. You got to go up this roller section, stay hard on the rear tire, stay on the back of the bike up this double. You'll swing kind of up to the left of this corner up towards the top of the hill as you carry momentum. Very, very top of the racetrack here, then dropping it back down into the center of the track. This is one of the more tricky sections of the track that we'll focus on tonight as they come down that hill. Big braking bumps into a launch single, sharp left-hand U-turn at the bottom of the hill, then carry speed up this one because you want to go double, triple if you can to get a drive up these uphill rollers. And you see Holm here is going to tuck to the inside at the very top of the hill again, drop back down into this famous section. James Stewart, Eli Tomac both having large crashes in this downhill that pretty much ended their seasons. Holm here going to swing to the outside and cut back across to this tabletop. Maybe the sharpest turn on the track here, though, a left-hand 180 into a right-hand 90. It's a little switchback section. Then scrub this single down to get this uphill triple clean. Kick it out for the fans a little bit. And then this long left-hand sweeping downhill corner. You're going to be carrying a lot of speed through this corner and down the hills. So hard on the brakes through these braking bumps. They'll definitely catch some guys out tonight, and we'll keep an eye on that. Left-hand U-turn up into this right-hand 90. And then down past the mechanic straight here, as Holm kind of hopping through the braking bumps, goes to the far inside here, drops down off of this little drop down into this big double slash tabletop jump. Guys will be whipping big off of that one tonight for sure. And then again, a lot of ruts and braking bumps into this left-hand turn here. This is kind of a swooping left hand into a swooping right hand. There's a lot of these kind of complexes left and right that you see here at Thunder Valley. Wall jump down into this gully here where Ryan Dungey broke his neck in 2016. And then you see this big triple here that he lays it out for the crowd on the right side over this little roller into the finish line jump. But we're not completely done with the lap just yet, as he's going to swoop to the left here, a little left-hand 90 through some rollers behind the starting gate here, and then another left-hander that takes you back up the hill to complete a lap here at Thunder Valley. Well, we're so happy to have you guys here with us tonight. Again, as always, Kellen Brower here in the booth for Start Your Systems, bringing you guys the action from the second round here at Thunder Valley of the 2021 RaceFactory Gaming National Championship MX Simulators Pro Series. Really, if you've never been with us before, these are the best MX Simulator riders in the world. They are spread out across the world in many different places of the globe, ready to challenge each other tonight. We're going to develop a lot of those storylines as well. I want to give a quick shout out as well to the Sketchy brand. I got to get out of the way here of the microphone. Sketchy shirts and merch. Head over to alexray.co. He actually hooked me up with this shirt this weekend at the Fox Raceway National, so I wanted to do him a solid and shout out the brand a little bit and thank him for that. But definitely head over to alexray.co. That's alexray.co.com, so you guys can get some merch there and support A-Ray, true privateer effort usually out there. And he definitely got a little swapped out a couple times in practice there at Fox Raceway on the weekend. Went, I think, 29-26, but had a good day overall and was pretty happy with the results. So shout out to him, and thanks again for the support with the t-shirt. And yeah, let's jump into this, shall we? So let's go ahead and talk about our qualifying times first of all before we jump in and check out the consolation races, which are just about to end up. I'll get a quick refresh of this and see that Bryce Whelan has gone fastest tonight in the 450 class. Bryce Whelan and Walter Gebhardt tying on a 2-minute .992. So both those guys laying it down and going a little bit faster there than Colby Eaglin, a couple tenths really, and nothing in it between Eaglin. We've got a couple Canadians up here towards the front. Alexis Leclerc, Jacob Hubbard in the mix as well. Tyler Lang, Magnetti, Fjellberg, Siebold, and Blakely down through the top 10. Take a look at our 250 class as well and see Payson Johnson. No surprise there, a 2 flat out of him, and that is just slower. No, I'm sorry, that's actually just faster than the fastest time in the 450 class, so just a little bit faster. So Johnson, fastest rider on the track here in Thunder Valley. Isaiah Dickerson, Jaden Wilson, Nathan Prynn, Ethan Gerst, all in the mix as well. So we'll see how those riders fare tonight. We'll go over the standings real quick, but of course it's just the results from last week. So Payson Johnson, the championship leader there, 47 points over Cooper Hunt, who finished second. Jaden Wilson up on the podium last week at Fox Raceway. Johnson starting his season off strong with a 1-2 performance. And in the 450 class, Leclerc to the top of the table after one round, but you can see it's really close battle there for second already, and all three of those guys in that battle for second are hoping to do some damage against Leclerc tonight here in Thunder Valley. Lang, Eaglin, and Siebold tied for second on 40 points. Jack Haley out here ripping a two-stroke. It'll be interesting to see how he fares tonight in the hilly conditions of Thunder Valley, but he is fifth in the championship after one round at Fox Raceway. Let's go ahead and jump back into the server and see where we're at. I believe the 450 consolation race is on the track right now. And indeed it is. So 450 consolation race. The 250 consolation race has already come and gone. And as a reminder to anybody that's just tuning into the stream, I'm trying to push the streams back to when the actual start of the motos are this year. I don't necessarily want to miss out on the consolation races, and I don't want to, kind of bend over the people that are out there putting the effort in the consolation races. But quite honestly, I do enjoy spending time with my family, and this past week and a half I've had almost no time to do it, so I try to soak up as much of that time before we drop the gates here tonight that I can, which is why we start the broadcast a little bit closer to that 6 p.m. start time, and I don't always get the consolation races in. But we're getting a little bit of action here in the 451. This one's going 4 laps with the top 4 riders transferring through to the main motos, and right now Logan Heagney out front ahead of Caleb Hall and Mike LaCour, with Brett Thomas in the final transfer spot right now, but Austin LeBeau is trying to close up on him. And Underground RC Cowie versus the atom.com Cowie. Oh, Thomas goes a little deep in the corner. LeBeau up the inside will make that pass stick. And up the hill they go. Now they will set sail on Mike LaCour on that SGB Racing number 33 as he drops down the hill. And returning this year is the format where 250s and 450s will have UID grab, which means that everybody has to be in the server at the exact same time, where in the past they used to do 250s at 5:30, 450s at 7:30. That's, of course, Pacific time. But that has changed this year, so you need to be in the server right at that 5:30 time, or if you're East Coast, 8:30 time, to actually be seated into the motos for the evening program. So a lot of these guys may be getting caught out already by that start time, a little bit earlier than usual. Close battling throughout here, though, and actually a slight battle going on for the lead here. Caleb Hall has caught up to Logan Heagney, and these riders are about to go on to the final lap here of the consolation race. So Heagney, Hall, LaCour, and Thomas in those transfer spots, but Austin LeBeau is trying to get back by. Thomas and LeBeau have been going back and forth here. And this is to race the main motos. 36 riders have already been seeded into the motos based on qualifying time. They had about a day of qualifying on this track. And these are all the riders that were 37 on back in qualifying, now trying to fight for those final 4 transfer spots into the main motos. So this is crucial. If you want to race in Thunder Valley here tonight, you've got to qualify through out of this consolation race. And Brett Thomas goes down. So Brett Thomas, who was in that 4 spot, has hit the deck, and Austin LeBeau takes full advantage. Now can Jeffrey Bruns, his teammate, do something about it? Jeffrey Bruns trying to close that gap down here with time slowly running out. Of course, I think both of these guys, being teammates, would ideally like to close up on LaCour there in the 3 spot and move their way into 3rd and 4th respectively, pushing LaCour out of this transfer spot, but they may have to settle this dispute amongst each other instead. We'll see if anything changes, though, with about a half a lap to go, maybe a little less than half a lap now. LeBeau is definitely getting caught, but Bruns lays it down, and he's off the bike as well. That should all but do it right there as Bruns gets it turned around as Brett Thomas comes by. But barring a crash from our front four, this should be where it stays as Heagney continues to lead him around. Heagney a couple more corners here, and the number 110 Galaxy effort out here will have himself a consolation race victory, but more importantly will find his way into the main motos as Heagney comes down and takes the checkered flag to win the 450 consolation race. Caleb Hall will come through in second place. LaCour ends up in third, and Austin LeBeau goes through to the motos in fourth. Brett Thomas, Jeffrey Bruns, AJ Meadows, Brandon Holdsworth, Pusheen, Travis Hoffman, Dean Ty, Buddy Parker, John Heilman, Keegan Riley, Peter Like, just to name a few that will not be going through into the main motos tonight and will instead have to sit on the sidelines and watch this one. Looks like we're just going to be waiting on Hoffman to bring it around, and he's going to be taking a while, so I think we'll be sitting here for a little bit. You can see how this racetrack is shaping up, though. Maybe I'll give you guys a quick third-person perspective lap, albeit very, very slowly around this track here. Hey, nope, they kicked Hoffman, so there goes my opportunity. I'll just keep riding. Why not? Cuts didn't affect anything. I can see that very clearly. LeBeau still went through in fourth. So then to the top of the hill, down through the Studio 8 Hole Shot Award. Thunder Valley was usually a pretty good track for me. I think I got fifth in a moto here one year on a 450. If I remember right, might have been 2014 or so. Obviously, I don't have the speed or talent to do what I did back then anymore, but I still really enjoy this track. It's got a good flow. It's very, mountainous, if you will. Elevation change is what I love about, generally speaking, motocross in general. Like, I don't love Fox Raceway that much because there's so little elevation change. Like, if we want to have a race with zero elevation change or little elevation change, we'll just race Supercross, So when we take it outdoors, I like seeing hills and, undulations and off cambers and certain things like that. And yeah, Thunder Valley is definitely a track that provides it. It's challenging. It's it reaches up and bites you quicker than you think, I feel like. I don't know for a fact in real life, but in this game, it's one of those tracks that, like, you feel like you're not going that fast, but in reality, you're going down a hill into, like, an off camber or something like that, and before you know it, you're at the bottom of that hill trying to get stopped and going way faster than you think. So it's one of those tracks that definitely makes you kind of second think every decision you're making, how fast you're going in each section. And because of that, usually took a lot more focus than you ended up realizing by the end of the moto. But we'll see how these guys can handle it here tonight. 2 30-minute plus 2-lap MX Simulator races on the docket for both the 250 and 450 motocross classes here at Thunder Valley. All right, 250 moto number 1 will be coming up next. 30 minutes plus 2 laps, and the field trying to take it to your defending champion, Payson Johnson. Johnson has looked very, very good here, not only in the last week at Fox Raceway, but earlier this week in Russia. Johnson very, very fast there at the MX Simulator Grand Prix of Russia, and was able to retake the points lead, I believe, though he did not win the overall. That went to Jeremy Siebold, I believe. Or not Jeremy Siebold, excuse me, Isaiah Dickerson, who went 2-2 there. So Dickerson looking to fight back here in this championship tonight. But, of course, Johnson was your fastest qualifier, so it'll be tough for anybody to get the advantage on him. But as a reminder, I want to give a shout-out to a couple more sponsors on board with us here on the stream. Of course, Our Jerky, that's eatrjerky.com. Use the code SYS20 for 20% off your orders. Some fantastic quality beef jerky. Comes in these nice little pouches that are like snack pack pouches, so you can carry them with you when you travel, or if you're just hanging out at your desk playing video games like we're all doing. So shout out to them. Thanks so much for coming on board with the streams. And of course, atom.com, who brought you guys that virtual lap a little bit earlier on with Adam Holm. Head over to atom.com and check out his line of merch and some of the music that he is constantly releasing over there. Some really good stuff. If you guys are into the dubstep or drum and bass genre, Adam Holm producing some music over there. So if you're a fan of his and like his riding style and stuff like that, maybe you're a fan of his music as well, and you can definitely check that out over at atom.com. We're getting ready to go here. 250 Moto number 1 here at Thunder Valley. Shout out to everybody in chat also here tonight. We got Mini Knifeiak. We got I'm Lazy, Lane Burks, Laser Kid. Who else? Brody's Not Cool. I love these usernames too. It's so fun to read through them. Ton Vegas. What else we got? We got Lethal Prairie. Carl Novak. Douglas Varcasia. Sorry if I missed anybody else's name that's been chatting here tonight, but always love having a lively chat. Hanging out, talking to each other, talking about the racing action, getting involved. Yo, we got Colby Ewell, we got Ryan, Ghost X, Max, Moto Maddox, Tyler Schaefer, the Reed 34. What is up, my dudes? Reese Harris also up in here. Braden Barstow, Singh, H Hooter, Ant Beast 32. How y'all doing? Bunch of dudes being guys out here right now. Got Frank Jackson, Daniel Irvine, Payson Johnson, Ethan Gerst, Dylan Adams, Jonathan Alexander, Trevor Burns, Seth Shirley, Colton Hanson, Luke Sullivan, Logan Leitzel, Riley Hewen, Braden Tharp, Joe Wagner, Jake Kazarian, and I was not quite able to get through our lineup here in 250 Moto number 1, but that's okay because we're about to go through all of them as we get ready to drop the gate here on 250 Moto number 1, round number 2 of the 2021 RaceFactory Gaming National Championship from Thunder Valley. Who is going to get that all-important hole shot? Can Payson Johnson make it happen from an inside gate? He's got Luke Sullivan right up there as well, and a few others mixed in. Here we go. It's time to drop the gate. First Moto of the night here at Thunder Valley. Not the best start for Johnson, but he's going to kind of squeeze into the middle. It's Logan Leitzel out of the middle that gets the Studio 8 Hole Shot Award. It's Leitzel on the 13. The 42 of Prince settles right in there. And then Johnson on the 1, also up in the mix. Sullivan on the 18. Is that Trent Adams, I think, on the 50. The 20 of Cooper Hunt trying to squeeze to the middle. Excuse me, the 38 of Cooper Hunt. That is, he's 20 in the GPs, but Prin with a good start. And they're all chasing Logan Leitzel on the first lap of the race. So Leitzel charging down the hill on his Phil's KTM. He's got his teammate Prin right in tow. And then Johnson already trying an inside line on Prin. They're going to go almost 3 wide coming up the hill. Prin, a little bit better power, is going to get away from Johnson as they charge up the hill. And it's a freight train to the top. Leitzel, Prin, Johnson. I think that is Trent Adams there on the 50 just in the background. And boy, oh boy, this one is very close in the early runnings. Who is going to be the first to start to break away a little bit as Leitzel tries to step out a little ways here. Oh, big whip for Prin right in front of Johnson. They kind of swap lines. Prin's going to go a little bit more inside than Leitzel. He might try to shoot down the inside for the race lead. Oh, no. A closed door for Logan Leitzel on the outside, and Prin has to back out of the challenge. Now Prin's got to line up the inside of the mechanics area. And Nathan Prin has taken over the lead. Oh, I think that was Leitzel maybe going through the front door. Oh, he saved it, but he's off the side of the track. And Johnson also able to get by as well. And, excuse me, it's Trevor Burns, not Trent Adams, on the 50 there in the 4th spot with Cooper Hunt right behind him. So it's Prin and Johnson, a couple guys we definitely wanted to see out front, battling it out here before the first lap is over. Mistake for Johnson, and Prin will lead him down through the end of the first lap. It's Prin from Johnson, Leitzel in 3rd, Trevor Burns in 4th with Hunt 5th, Sullivan 6th, Klein 7th, Shirley's in 8th, Alexander in 9th, and Colton Hanson rounds out your top 10 with 1 lap in the books. 30 minutes plus 2 laps on the docket, and a battle for the lead is brewing. Johnson wants to get around Prin, and he's going to do it. Prin tucks the front wheel on corner entry and goes wide. Payson Johnson to the lead here in Colorado. On a mistake for Prin might allow his teammate Leitzel back into the picture. Leitzel had to back out of the challenge in case the uphill step up, so here comes Trevor Burns to the outside. Leitzel already peeking down the inside. These guys trying to avoid the deep chop coming down the hill. And everybody's so close. You see Sullivan there on the 18 right behind Cooper Hunt on the 38. They're in a little battle of their own right behind this one with Burns right on Leitzel. Leitzel trying to close up on Prin, but they're all losing touch with Payson Johnson, who's already stretching his lead out front. Nose to tail action at Thunder Valley early here in 250 Moto 1. And Johnson was the first to pounce and head out to the front. Who's going to be the next to make the big moves? Prin is opening up a small gap on Leitzel. It looks like Burns might want to say something about this battle for third before long. Oh, and meanwhile, a pass in the background. Klein down the inside is going to get around Luke Sullivan, and he'll make that pass stick. So Sean Klein, former runner-up in this series twice. In back-to-back seasons, Klein finished second in, I believe it was 2016 and 2017 in the 250 class here of RaceFactory Gaming Pro Motocross. Definitely is a rider to always keep an eye on, can win a moto in the drop of a hat, really. Outside line, Burns trying to size something up here on Leitzel. Outside back to in, cuts alongside. Nearly gets a wheel in there over the finish line jump. But Leitzel holds him at bay for the time being. 2.5 second lead already. Johnson out front. Prin is trying to keep him honest and get away from Leitzel himself. And this front group has really started to open it up a bit as Sullivan in 7th has 4 seconds back to Jonathan Alexander in 8th. And you've got Cochran moving up to 9th and Hansen still in 10th. Burns definitely trying to keep that pressure on Leitzel and force a mistake out of the number 13. So far, though, he is held steady. Kind of wonder, though, whether or not Trevor Burns has the pace to keep up with Prin and or Johnson out front. Leitzel is staying right there within at least visual distance of the leaders, but of course he was the leader and lost it. So he was going backwards a little bit, had to regroup, and now might be putting a bit of a charge back in as he has opened up a gap on Trevor Burns. Through this tricky back section. All about carrying momentum on this track. There's just a lot of sweeping corners, not too many stop and go type of things. Oh, it's Burns. He's going down in the background and he is off the bike. Hunt goes by. There goes Klein and Sullivan. Burns trying to get the ship righted as Colton Hansen will be coming down the hill next. So Hansen now moves up to 8th ahead of Alex Kerr in 9th and Dalton Plessinger in 10th. So Cochran has lost a position. And I forgot to download that BPC pack. I mean, one thing about Chase Blakely and that BPC team this year, they've had a few updates to that pack. So I apologize that I did not get the most recent one. But here is race leader Payson Johnson. You can see Prin still flashing there in the background. He's keeping it pretty close. Do a lap time check and see where it's at. 2:05.6 to a 2:05.6. They just literally matched each other last time by. And this is what we've seen out of the fast Frenchman Nathan Prin in a lot of races this year. It's been unfortunate that we haven't seen him all year long. He won the Houston 3 Supercross and then missed a lot of Supercross after that. Of course, being from France, it's roughly 2 to 3 a.m. in the morning right now for him, so he has either got to stay up really late or get up really early to race these races, which has always been the case as well for your multi-time champion Alexis Leclerc. But at this point, Prin is just trying to keep his head down and keep his eyes focused up ahead on Johnson and not let him get too far away. You can see the track map in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Everybody's still fairly packed together here 7 minutes in. There hasn't been any, massive changes throughout the group, big gaps or anything like that. The leaders are kind of separating as you expect them to. Top 10 are kind of each have their own little gaps established. There's a couple riders a little further off the back of the entire field as Johnson goes down and Prin tire taps him. So Johnson hits the deck and Prin takes advantage, but oh man, that was almost a big one. Prin decided to hit a braking bump to try to seat bounce over Johnson and tire tapped him as he took over the race lead. What a change of fortunes right there. But it's Prin to the front. Here at Thunder Valley, Johnson remounts still in second, and Leitzel back here in third now sees Johnson just ahead of him. Wonder if he will try to latch onto him and see the lines he's doing now that he's taken that breath, kind of reestablished where he was. Of course, we lost Trevor Burns, and Cooper Hunt was able to move up into the 4 spot here, and he's bringing with him Luke Sullivan. So Sean Klein also went down, it looks like, and Sullivan has moved up into 5th. So the front 5 at this point now opening up a bit of a gap. It's Trevor Burns back in that 6th spot. Klein is 7th. Alex Kerr runs 8th. Hansen 9th, has Casey Cochran right on him. So can the number 90 BPC rider make this pass? Going to try to sneak up the inside into this first turn. The one interesting thing about Thunder Valley in this game that MX Simulator just cannot really account for is the elevation in which Lakewood, Colorado is at, which is, of course, just outside of Denver. So I think it's actually just right around 5,000 feet in elevation, which usually in real life saps the bikes of power. So you actually see a horsepower loss of 10 to 15% on every single bike when they go up to elevation in Colorado. The game can't really account for that. There's not really a system in place for that. So the one thing that they can do usually is make the traction a little bit, kind of stickier, grippier, whatever you want to call it, add a little bit more roll resistance to slow the bikes down. And oftentimes you do actually have to make some minor setup changes when you go to Thunder Valley and Sim, as Cochran gets kind of pushed off the track right there. Alexander, Jaden Wilson, both going to take advantage. Wilson a mistake. But usually you're hitting the bumps at a little bit different rate. And I remember always making a few shock adjustments. Usually you kind of leave the fork the same, but you'd go maybe a little bit softer on the shock. We've got a nice battle brewing here. Cochran, Wofford, Gerst, and Plessinger nose to tail. Plessinger trying to go up the inside, but not quite able to get a nose in there just yet. He's going to be almost side by side. Kind of got Trileys right there. Everybody kicked it out a little bit, but it wasn't a big whip, so I'm not going to yell at the top of my lungs just yet, but I'm getting a little excited here. Going to have some good jumps up the road here. Maybe this uphill triple, we could get some dualies, maybe Trileys. We're going to have dualies opportunity here, and they just dead air Leclerc it instead. Big time bummer. Thank you as well to Agris6 and a 10 euro donation in chat. Agris always dropping the 10 euros like it's nobody's business. Appreciate you stopping by on all these streams, hanging out, having a good time, and again for the donation as well. Thank you so much. Wofford getting shuffled around a little bit here as Gerst and Plessinger both went by. Now Gerst hits Plessinger. Little front end lock, and Wofford has to come to a stop there. Meanwhile, Cochran has opened up a bit of a gap, and Trevor Burns went down. So Trevor Burns is going to lose a few positions here. Gets going just in front of Cochran. Jaden Wilson, Colton Hansen both going by. I like that Jaden Wilson is experimenting with lines. I don't like that he went off the track to do it, but he's going to make a pass on Hansen. Of course, the penalty system in the game doesn't really reward you for going off the track. If you go off the track for too long, you miss a timing gate or two. Jonathan Alexander now being passed by Jaden Wilson as well. Wilson looks like he is on a mission going to the front right now. But speaking at the front here, it is still Nathan Prin, the number 42 out of France on the Phil's KTM, leading the race here in Thunder Valley. And for the sake of championship purposes, it'll be a lot of fun if Prin can make it to all 12 rounds of this RaceFactory Gaming National Championship this year, because he has certainly got the speed and the pace to run with Payson Johnson. Hey, and shout out as well to Odd Donut 324. Odd Donut 324 with a $4.99 donation. Thank you so much for that. Says a big time bummer LMAO. So I'm not sure what we're big time bummering. Perhaps that the battles have diluted a little bit up front here. Sullivan has gone to third. Leitzel's drifted back to fourth. Hunt has now gone back to fifth. And suddenly Klein can see Cooper Hunt ahead of him. So I think a couple of guys went down in there, and Sullivan may have just benefited from some untimely crashes. And your leaders now are definitely gone. The front two have a sizable margin established. So we'll go back to some more battling here. Casey Cochran in a fight with Trevor Burns and the 84 of Alex Kerr. They're trying to catch up to Jonathan Alexander just ahead, and a nice move there by Trevor Burns up the inside of Casey Cochran. So Burns now ahead of Cochran. Here comes Alex Kerr trying to sneak up the inside as well. Not quite able to get a nose in there just yet, but Cochran, I thought he had caught these guys, but it looks like he's faltering a little bit here. Might just be out of the zone. Can happen from time to time. You just have one or two moments that catch you off guard, and you go out of that tunnel vision that you were in. Back up the hill they go here. Trevor Burns has put a lot of pressure here onto Jonathan Alexander on that Phil's KTM. Inside move for Burns, and a nice pass in the end. Just kind of charged into those braking bumps and just planted that Covenant Honda down the inside. And a good move for Burns, and it's all going to be undone as he goes down. Alexander has to swing wide. Cochran up the inside, going to bring Kerr with him. Going through there is Wofford as well. And now coming into the frame is Hansen with Thomas Wilcox, Jaden Wilson, Riley Hewen, and Seth Shirley in the mix. This is a rough start to the moto for Seth Shirley, who is very good at Fox Raceway and has been pretty good so far in the GPs as well. Oh, a little dualies right there, and Shirley got absolutely tossed. Not sure. I think he must have been going for a whip or some sort of big scrub, and the rear end kicked out, so a few more riders go by him. Loses 3 spots in the process to Frank Jackson, Ethan Gerst, and Neil Fitzpatrick. As this battle continues, oh, dualies! Thomas Wilcox, Colton Hansen side by side, and down on the outside that looked like Jonathan Alexander, as we've got Kerr ahead of Wilcox, Hansen, is that Trevor Burns, I think, just off the background. Wilcox into the rear tire, front end lock, and goes down. No, it's Wilson, excuse me, on the 65 is splitting the difference there on the 66. That is Riley Hewen. So Wilcox loses a couple spots, brought Jaden Wilson with him. Jonathan Alexander now back into the fray. You got Neil Fitzpatrick with Ethan Gerst. They're going toe-to-toe into the first corner. And there's battling aplenty here at Thunder Valley. Another crash. That was Burns on the 50. So now we got like 7 riders almost nose to tail going up the hill here. And a big grouping just ahead of that. Hearing that there's a battle for the lead, and there is. Johnson has gone to the front. So Payson Johnson retakes the lead as Nathan Prin has ran into some mid-moto issues here just past the halfway point of this one. And Johnson has taken it back over. Now can Prin respond? Gotta have been either a tip over or just some large mistake, because Prin had him by a few seconds last time they went through. Puts down a 2:07.7 and a 2:05.3. So yeah, lost 2 seconds that last lap alone. Looks like maybe Johnson just was catching him that whole way. And now Prin slowly losing touch. So we'll catch back up with this battle in a moment. It's still Sullivan 3rd, Leitzel 4th, Hunt 5th, Klein 6th, Wofford 7th, Cochran 8th, And then here's this battle coming down the hill. Hewen and Jaden Wilson going at it for 9th. Wilson to the outside, tries to cut back up to the inside. He might get it done here. Jaden Wilson, no. Hewen holds it on. And they look like teammates, but they are not. Riley Hewen on the Galaxy team as dualies are thrown. And, of course, Jaden Wilson on that Covenant Honda on the 65. Good battle between these two, though. They have been going back and forth, fighting tooth and nail for it. Jaden Wilson's going to land and charge to the outside. Just hit this rut a little bit harder. It's going to continue charging around the outside, but that long rut out there is very long out there. And Wilson might have lost a little bit of ground as such. It looks like Prin went down in second, so he's 10 seconds off the lead now. Wilson actually had a great drive through there, but then I think reacted to Hewen making a small mistake, elected to try to cut out of the rut and then lost traction, so didn't quite get it up the hill. Now he's got another great drive here. And Hewen might be a sitting duck as it's all uphill from here. Wilson is charging up this hill, but Hewen lands that step up very well and continues the march to the top. Will they split lines here? Are they both going to the same one? Look at Wilson charging to the outside. Now can he get on the brakes and still get to the inside? Wow, what a pass by Jaden Wilson. Does not care a lick about the rough sections on the downhill. He is ready to charge and go after it. Meanwhile, Casey Cochran has caught Lane Wofford ahead of him. Underground RC versus BPC. Little mistake, and Cochran loses some ground. Creeping up on the 20-minute mark of this 30-minute plus 2-lap 250 Moto 1 here at Thunder Valley. Cochran again going to try to slice down the inside of Lane Wofford. I believe this is for the 8th spot. And Cochran will complete that pass. Wofford, a little mistake. Has to take a deep breath and regroup, and he's got to really get back to work here. Excuse me, that was for 7th that Cochran got around Wofford for. Now Wofford in 8th is about to deal with some pressure here as Jaden Wilson continues to just light the timing sheets ablaze and is caught up to Wofford in no time for this 8th spot. So how much time will Wilson wait before he tries to pounce here? I think he's trying to go forward as fast as he possibly can, so he might not wait too long. Up the inside goes Wilson, and easily done in the end. Wilson moves to 8th, Wofford back to 9th. Still Hewen in 10th, Kerr in 11th, Fitzpatrick is 12th, Colton Hansen here in 13th, Jonathan Alexander in 14th has got Trevor Burns right behind him. See if Burnsy can make something happen for that P14. Little mistake out of Alexander, and Burns has got a great drive down through the rollers. Going to go up the inside here, but not quite close enough. Good attempt, but just not enough to get it done. And now a little front end wash at the top of the hill, and he loses ground in the process. Isaiah Dickerson, rough moto for him so far, down in 16th. The winner on Monday at Orleanoc in Russia. Now out here at Thunder Valley, running into the struggle bus a little bit. Behind him, it is Ethan Gerst in 17th on the Covenant number 58. Daniel Irvine on the atom.com number 96 runs in 18th, I believe. Yes, 18th. Seth Carr, Underground RC on that 347 right behind him in 19th. And crashing into the screen, Seth Shirley, rough moto for him. Was in 20th, going to lose it though. Thomas Wilcox on that C4 Designs number 33 Gas goes through and takes over 20th place. So back to your race leader, Payson Johnson. 8.5 minutes and 2 laps still to go here in this one. And Johnson looking to just continue his dominance of the 250 class, winning the outdoor title last year and then won the 250 West Championship indoors this year and wrapped it up around early. Now trying to establish a large early championship lead here like he did last year in this 250 class. RaceFactory Gaming Pro Motocross. Little battle brewing perhaps for second before long. Prin has gone down again, and his teammate Luke Sullivan, Eye of the Tiger, has reeled him in. So Sullivan last week at Fox Raceway, after winning the opening round of the Grand Prix Championship in the Netherlands, did not have the start to his RaceFactory Gaming National Championship that he would have hoped. Going 9-4, I believe it was, for 6th. But then he came in here after the race was over and actually said he was pretty happy about it because it only had a few sessions on the track before the race had actually started, so he didn't get too much time in to actually play the track. Looks like he's feeling a little bit better about this one this week, but he's going to get into the back there of the 759, I believe, of Adrian Wilson, and goes down. So Logan Leitzel going to see the time drop on his pit board a little bit and might be sensing an opportunity to close down here on the number 13. Cooper Hunt still runs in the 5 spot. It's been a strong year so far for Hunt, both indoors and out as well. Started off the season on the podium at Fox Raceway last week. Runs in 5th right here in Moto number 1. So he's setting himself up in a position at least to maybe put another good moto together in that second one and land on the box again. Sean Klein, the KG veteran, runs in the 6th spot, and Jaden Wilson is catching him. Jaden Wilson has been flying through the field in the latter stages of this race, putting down 207s to the 211.3 out of Sean Klein. So Wilson, not going to be too long before he can make something happen here. Seems like it's only a matter of time before Wilson makes something happen. A 206 flat. Jaden Wilson continuing to push the envelope late into this moto. And it's paying dividends because he has caught several riders of whom he was nowhere near at the early stages of this one, and now working on 6th. Sean Klein here trying to hold steady. So where does Jaden Wilson work on making this pass happen? He has been dynamite through different sections of the track, and remember, he made a pass around the outside coming down this downhill just a few laps ago. Klein is going to attack that left, or the right side of the track, I should say, left side of your screen, and keep Wilson behind. Wilson's getting all kinds of swapped coming down the hill, but a nice save for the Covenant number 65. That one could have been a doozy. So Klein, at least for the moment, going to breathe a sigh of relief. Casey Cochran back here running in the 8th spot on the number 90 BPC effort. Wofford still inside of the top 10 in 9th, and Hewen right behind him in 10th. Alex Kerr right there as well in 11th. So little 3-rider train developing here for the 9 spot, as Wofford continues to hold steady in that 9 spot, but Hewen and Kerr are definitely trying to push up to him, make something happen in the latter stages of this race. Coming up on 4 minutes and 2 laps to go. Check out chat for a minute. We got Trace Boudreau says, take 2, day 1 of saying hi to Kellen until he responds. What is up? How are you? A lot of these guys are definitely of the younger age for sure. Sean Klein, one of the older statesmen out here. I believe he's in his mid to late 20s is Klein. But usually most riders that compete in this series are in their teens. Yes, little Jimmy, the no longer depressed 49ers fan, says, is there a road? Yes, indeed. There is a road. I'm not sure what the actual road setting is. Usually they do something like 0.3 or 0.4 to keep it fairly light because they already do put some stuff on the track in terms of braking bumps and ruts, and they just want those to kind of develop a little bit more, get a little deeper and kind of more challenging without making the track too gnarly. So it's usually on something like that, which is why you don't see the track change too much, and then it resets every single moto. So when we reset the track here for 450 Moto number 1 coming up in just a little bit. You'll see a fresh racetrack again. But yes, there is a road on the track. So Payson Johnson checks in out front on to lap number 14, 27.5 minutes down. 2.5 minutes and 2 laps remain in an 18.7 second lead right now for Johnson as he puts one of his teammates a lap down. Was that Trevor Burns perhaps getting put a lap down right there? Rough moto so far for Burns if that was the case. Oh, and Luke Sullivan has gone from the 3 spot back to behind Leitzel. So a mistake somewhere that we missed has swapped the Phil's KTM riders. Battle brewing, though. Leitzel, a little bit of a problem there coming into the finish line. Rider down. That might have been one of the atom.com cowies. So Sullivan charging back up the hill. Sullivan is right there on Leitzel, just looking for an opportunity. And you can already see these guys changing their lines. We're seeing a lot of guys go down the far right side of the track. Now Sullivan and Leitzel both charging the left side. And it's so deceiving on these cameras, but these corners are actually quite off camber. So as you're coming into them, you're braking all the way downhill into a rut. You don't get to like G out on a bottom and settle yourself down. You're on the brakes, going through braking bumps into a rut all the while. Same thing with this corner. A little off camber as Sullivan goes down, and he's very lucky actually to not flip off the track because he would have gone over the backside of that hill to his left and lost a lot more time. He wouldn't have come to a stop for a while there. Oh, and then Hunt goes down right behind him. So Cooper Hunt out of 5th had just got to where they were with Sullivan down before he went down himself. But he remains in 5th. So Klein, not close enough to do any damage there. Still in 6th. Cochran 7th. Jaden Wilson has slipped back to 8th. Riley Hewen 9th. And Watford in 10th. But Kerr trying to fight back to the outside of the 181 Underground RC Cowie. Kerr on that number 84 Jack Daniels Racing Husqvarna. Outside for Wofford. A little further outside for Kerr. They're trying to kind of size each other up a little bit. You can see Kerr, he's just trying to take different lines. I'm wondering if he's feeling like Wofford is pushing the envelope to stay ahead of him and might be making a few mistakes here and there. One of those things that you can see when you're behind a rider. Like if you're on board with Kerr's perspective here and you can see just up the road what Wofford is doing. Maybe he's hopping around, he's getting kicked loose here and there. You don't want to follow his lines then because he may actually go down. But actually, since we've gone on board with Kerr, he looks like he's the one making more of the mistakes. And it could just be that he's hanging it out a little loose. And that's really where the problem lies. Meanwhile, they have caught Casey Cochran. So Casey Cochran went down on the 90, somewhere ahead of these guys, and has drifted back to them. You can see Kerr trying to go to the outside here. Wofford going to defend up the inside. Oh, look at this. Kerr might have an inside move here after the finish line jump. He's trying to size it up. Almost contact with Wofford, but he couldn't quite get it done. So lapped rider down on the outside as this battle continues. And because these two are kind of focused on each other, they're not that close to Cochran anymore, but then Cochran just made a mistake. And now he's back onto the track just in front of these guys. It's still 3 riders nose to tail, heading up the hill again. Who will be the first to break here? Something's got to give. Wofford trying to close up on Cochran to the outside. Kerr goes, and Kerr gets around Wofford, at least temporarily so. Wofford charging back down the inside, forces Kerr to the outside rut there, and then Wofford kind of blows the corner himself and blocks Kerr's line. Kerr was trying to build up an attack, and here comes Isaiah Dickerson. So Dickerson from outside of points is now knocking on the door for a top 10. Alex Kerr occupies 10th. Dickerson would very much like to have that position. And this battle just keeps on giving. A mistake, though. Wofford a little further outside. Kerr takes advantage. He goes through. He's into 9th. But he makes a mistake, and he's off the track. I don't know about that line right there. That's going to be a lot of cuts. Somehow, some way, it wasn't too many timing gates. I thought he missed 3, but he only missed 2. And the battle continues. Kerr to the outside. Wofford to the inside. Dickerson going to try to get them both. It's 3 wide, and Dickerson almost lays it down. He picks it right back up. Kerr charging into the corner. Dickerson to the outside of Wofford. That's going to be the pass done right there. He's going to be on the inside of him. Dualies with Wofford side by side to the outside. And now Dickerson trying to make something happen. So Kerr moves up to 9th. Dickerson now in 10th. And just up the road, it's still Cochran on the number 90. Dickerson absolutely charging right now, though, trying to make something happen. Putting all kinds of pressure on Kerr. So just as Kerr finally made something happen, they're on Wofford. Dickerson's there to take advantage, and Kerr goes down. Perhaps feeling the pressure, pushes the envelope. Rear end kicked out, and to the ground he goes. So that moves Dickerson up into 8th. And Cochran just ahead of them is in 7th. I believe it is. No, excuse me. Dickerson moves up to 9th. Cochran in 8th. Wilson is now in 7th. Sean Klein there is in 6th. Cooper Hunt in the 5 spot. Sullivan in 4th. Leitzel 3rd. And Prins still 2nd as Johnson has taken the white flag out front here in 250 Moto number 1. So that was some intense action just inside of the top 10, and it's not over yet. We don't really have any other close battles ahead of this. Wilson trying to keep tabs on Klein, and here we go. Cochran about to deal with Dickerson for the 8th spot. Dickerson almost launches into the SpongeBob, gets a little wayward, and Wofford's got to go back by. So Wofford shoots through into 9th, and this has been a tremendous ride for Lane Wofford. That 181 Underground RC Cowie. Oh, Wofford pushing the envelope, but Dickerson had gone down. So Fitzpatrick goes by for 10th. And Dickerson slips back to 11th. Gerst just went down. So more chaos mixed in here. And Payson Johnson is not too far behind this grouping here, actually, as he's coming down to complete yet another win here in this 250 class. But a tremendous effort here for Payson Johnson. Kind of a rare good start, at least so far. We've not seen many good starts in the outdoors this season for Johnson, and as I say that, oh my gosh, he actually landed that. I thought he was going to land straight up and down and keep going. He flipped 4 or 5 times through the air and stays on the bike. No idea how that wasn't a fall-off crash, but sometimes you just get the luck of the draw there and don't hit your head, which is what really causes you to fall off the bike when you're sliding. But here it is through the final corner. Yet another Moto win and extending his championship lead. Payson Johnson wins 250 Moto 1 here in Colorado. Nathan Prinn is trying to hold off a late charge here from Leitzel for 2nd. Leitzel not willing to give it up just yet. Oh, pushing the envelope a little bit too hard there, though, blowing the corner. And Prinn will bring it through the final corner and hold on for the 2nd spot here. So 2nd for Prinn. 3rd goes to Leitzel. Luke Sullivan will be 4th in this one. Cooper Hunt should be 5th, barring a late crash. Sean Klein will be 6th. Jane Wilson, he just went down in 7th, picking it back up, but Cochran is not there. Cochran in the 8th spot. Wofford is still 9th. Fitzpatrick in 10th. Isaiah Dickerson runs in 11th now. Gerst behind him in 12th. Wilcox 13th. Hewen still right there in 14th. And Kerr disconnects here, but he would have been the last rider on the lead lap, so he actually ended up finishing 15th in this one and will stay there. So we go up and check and see what happens. So Klein ends up in the 6th spot in this one. Jaden Wilson should bring it home here in 7th, and he will. Casey Cochran, bit of an up and down moto for him, but he'll end up in 8th by the end of this one. Lane Wofford, very solid effort here for him, will earn him a 9th. And Fitzpatrick actually just got into the back of a lapped rider right there. I wasn't sure who that was. Is that Seth Shirley, actually? Yeah, I think it was there, crossing line 31st. So really rough moto for Seth Shirley. Isaiah Dickerson gets his way all the way up to 11th in the end of this one. Gerst coming to the line will end up in the 12th spot, just ahead of Wilcox there in 13th. Riley Hewen coming on down here in 14th, and Alex Kerr, as mentioned, did not finish this one in 15th. Behind that, it was Trevor Burns, Daniel Irvine, Seth Carr, Jonathan Alexander, and Frank Jackson as we wait for one more rider to come through to take a look at cuts and see where everything finished up. There we are. Let's see if anything changed. Looks like Wilcox leapfrogged Gerst for 12th. But the rest stays the same, as Payson Johnson confirmed as your 250 Moto #1 winner here in Thunder Valley. All right, back here at the intermission screen, but it's not really an intermission. We're going to have a kind of like 2-second break, really, because they're loading up the 450 script right now in the game. And then we'll be racing 450 Moto #1. But I figured we'll go to this intermission screen because I always like having a little chat with you guys in the chat, hanging out. And we don't get the 5-minute break that we used to last year anymore, so I'll just use this screen as our little hanging out time here in the chat. Good to see all you guys here. Try to answer some questions that I saw roll through. Motomatic says, can you do more MX Sim content? Yes, actually, you guys may be checking out Ethan Parks' recent streams over on Start Your Systems TV on Twitch. He and I are going to collaborate on some stuff, and we're going to do some more sim stuff and a few, mostly sim stuff. There's going to be a lot of new sim stuff coming that I think you guys will really enjoy, but we're going to do some bikes things as well, and some SX4 content, because he also plays that game a little bit, so I'm excited to do some of that stuff with him, but definitely more sim content coming. Ray Newton says they need you in the Pro Moto booth. Yeah, I mean, I think one day that's my goal. You know, I would really like to actually announce Pro Motocross or, you know, Supercross at some point in my career. That'd be a lot of fun. Of course, I personally believe that Jason Wygant is the best motocross broadcaster out there right now. And I'm not just saying that because he's my boss. Like, I thought that before he was my boss, but I seriously do think that he deserves not only motocross, but the Supercross gig. So I'll wait till he retires, I guess, before I can make my move into the booth. But maybe one day. Yeah, you can get sim on a laptop. If you have Mac, there's a way to do that. If you go to the MX Simulator forums, it's forum.mxsimulator.com. I think it's under help and troubleshooting. There's a way to get MX Sim on a Mac, so you can check that out. Let's see what else we got. Fungal Grublar. Hey, we got a follow on Twitch just now as Psych went over to Twitch to follow. So thank you so much for that. What else? Do you think Roxon will improve much from the first race this season, giving his statements about not feeling great on the bike yet? Yeah, really, really strange comments from Roxon. And honestly, in the post-race press conference when we talked to him, he didn't even seem that upbeat by winning the first moto. Like, he still sounded like he thought he needed more work to do on the bike and stuff like that, which is strange. But I think he's going to get better as the season goes on, in terms of riding and being comfortable on the bike. But I think he's going to actually get worse when it gets hotter during the summer and we get into, those really hot races like at Southwick when it's really humid and things like that. And I think if he can get through 3 or 4 of those rounds okay, then we may be good. But if he's, really struggling by round 6 or something like that, I think it's going to continue. What are my thoughts on Hayden Deegan? I mean, yeah, amateur ripper. Really hope that, hey, thank you Clappy9 for the sub. Really hope that, you know, his career path continues, that he actually becomes a force in pro motocross and supercross, like we've seen with his dad in the past. Like, dad was really good at the, you know, racing supercross, but then elected to go freestyle. I hope Deegan stays more on like the pro motocross and supercross path and uses his talents for that. You know, ends up on Red Bull KTM or whatever. But yeah, looking forward to him going pro someday. Shout out to Y Campers and Nuclear Orange for the follow on Twitch over there. Thanks guys so much for that. Let's see who else we got questions for. Got Sim a week ago. Any tips? Yeah, my tips are definitely check out our tutorial series for MX Simulator. We've got a freaking ton of tutorial videos here on Start Your Systems YouTube, so definitely check that out. Thank you Crimson and Douglas Varcasia for the subs on YouTube, as we're going to load back into the server. Thanks so much for all the chatting here. We'll be back on, after this one, this 450 Moto number 1 to do some more chit-chatting with the group. Whoop. Popping up to my desktop real quick. There we go. All right, here we go. 450 Moto 1 is loaded on the gate. That 30 card is going to go off the track. And we're going to see who's going to rip the whole shot here at Thunder Valley. 450 Moto 1 live. Land Rush, and out of the middle, it's one of the Phil's KTMs, I believe it was. It was Hubbard, but it's going to be Trent Adams on the atom.com picking up the Studio 8 Whole Shot Award as Hubbard goes immediately to the race lead. It's Jacob Hubbard ahead of Caden Speck. Trent Adams right there as well. Tyler Lang, he's got a good start on the 14. Luke Magnetti with a good one as well. Dennis Fjellberg's got a good start. I only see Leclerc coming through in about 15th is down. Who's that in the pink gear at the top of the hill? That was... I still can't see who it was. It's Caden Speck. Caden Speck usually gets good starts. Got a good one here, but immediately went down. We'll go back to the front. It's Hubbard and Lang already moving up to second on the 14, so good start there for Lang. Magnetti, Adams. Little mistake there for Adams on the inside. Fjellberg's going to scoot to the outside. Adam Holm now settling in right behind this group, and everybody jockeying for a position down the hill on the first lap. Matthias Janis, Colby Eagland, all mixed together. Cole Gress, Daniel Mills, and then there is Leclerc. So Leclerc is about 12th right now, 13th, and just made 2 more passes, so he's going to go up into the top 10, and he's shooting down the inside for 2 more. Just typical Leclerc right here. So good, and a big crash coming down the hill between a few riders there. Leclerc now on the back of Eagland. Adams just ahead of him, which means that he's moved all the way up to 7th, and might not be done before this first lap is over. Oh, Dooley's off of the big table there in the center. Ooh, nice pass. Eagland forcing the issue on Adams. Leclerc going to go to the outside of him as well and continue his march, I think, here. Got kind of Dooley's there, but Leclerc didn't kick it out too far. Going to try to block the line off. Adams swinging to the outside, but Leclerc moves up into 6th before the first lap is over. So Eagland now 5th, Holm into 4th, Fjellberg in 3rd, Magnetti up to 2nd, and Lang has taken over the race lead before the first lap was done. Underground RC, Kawasaki on the number 14 machine. Jacob Hubbard has gone backwards. Mistake for your race leader, and another mistake now for your new race leader. Lang hits the deck, and Magnetti going to try to fight forward here. Not quite close enough just yet. So Lang leads Magnetti, Fjellberg, and then Holm as Leclerc shoots his way up into 5th. Already the number 1 machine on a charge right now. Eagland trying to fight right down the hill behind him, diving into the corner, but not quite close enough just yet. And Leclerc now setting his sights on Adam Holm just ahead of him. And maybe next up will be that 3 group out front. Try not to let Tyler Lang get too big of a gap established before he can say something about it. Holm and Leclerc still nose to tail there. And it looks like Leclerc might actually be pushing Holm up to Dennis Fjellberg on the 3. Still Magnetti in 2nd, of course, Lang leading the race. And Lang opening up a small gap. Here's Leclerc for 4th. on home. This is just patented Leclerc outdoors. He is so good, so hard to beat. Man behind him, Adam Holm, was within one turn of doing it back in 2018 when they took the championship fight literally to the very last corner at Ironman. One of the best championship fights I've ever seen, not even just in sim, just period. Those two fought tooth and nail and then continued the rivalry on a little bit beyond that. It just seemed like they started a rivalry back then that stemmed a little bit further. And now it seems like it's stifled out a little bit. They don't seem to hold much disdain for each other. But Leclerc has gone on, of course, to win 2 more championships outdoors after that, to become the only 4-time MX Simulator National Champion. And closing up right now on the rider whom he shared his first ever championship with, if you will. Leclerc, the 2014 450 National Champion, with Fjellberg winning the 250 title that year. But here's Leclerc down the inside of the rider out of Oslo, Norway. And Picardy France's Leclerc moves up into third, but Fjellberg back up the inside gets him right back. Nice battle here. Leclerc goes for the uphill triple and just kind of moves Fjellberg wide there with his mind, kind of. Fjellberg just couldn't get stopped for the corner. Now Holm going to try to get down the inside of the number 3 as well, and does so. So Holm trying to keep tabs on Leclerc, and Eagland in the back there on the 24 also doing the same. So Magnetti still in second, but you can see Lang's lead opening up a little bit here. Lang on the number 14, the reigning MX2 world champion in the game. Moved up to the 450 class this year and could not quite win his first ever 450 Supercross race. He finished second on so many occasions and eventually finished fourth, I believe it was, in the points. Now he's trying to take the fight to some of the best to ever do it in MX Simulator in this outdoor championship on a 450. And leading here early in Thunder Valley, but Leclerc got his head down and is trying to reel in Luke Magnetti for second. Lap time check, 2:04.9 versus a 2:04.6 out of Lang out front. So Lang feeling the flow here right now. And good thing as well, because Leclerc has wasted no time to get up to Magnetti for second. You can see Leclerc scrubbing it down up the hill, putting the charge on. These are the type of conditions Leclerc is just so good at as well, because it's one of those types of things that momentum is everything, and Leclerc's corner speed is not only ridiculous, but he lugs the bike everywhere, so he's always just like a gear or two higher than everybody else. You can see fourth gear, third gear, fourth, constantly changing in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, and then comes into this corner, shifts right down to first, then up second, third, fourth, coming down the hill, like just trying to get the power out of the corners and then get into a high gear as fast as you can. Fifth gear all the way down the hill here. He's just constantly changing gears. Always would be interested to see a controller mapping and live display for Leclerc, because I feel like he's one of those guys that he is just manic with the controls, like very methodical about it as well. He's a smooth rider, but he's got to be pressing a lot of buttons at one time here, putting the pressure right now on Magnetti for second. Magnetti, for what it's worth, though, has done a fantastic job this year of keeping his nose in it with these leaders. Only a matter of time, though, before Leclerc makes something happen. Scrubs down the triple. Tries to go up the inside into the final turn. Just kind of gives him a nose, and up in a second he goes. A 2:03.8 versus a 2:04.2. Leclerc on the move. and already goes double, triple through the rollers down there and stretches it out to over a second there on Magnetti. Crazy. Fjellberg still is in 4th. You got Trent Adams moving up to 5th. Matthias Janis runs in 6th. Adam Holm is 7th. Gebhardt is in 8th, and Eagland has slipped all the way back to 9th. So Eagland, who was right there on Leclerc for much of the early stages of this one, ran into a bit of a problem there, it seems. And it slipped back to the 9th spot. Behind that, your whole shot winner, Jacob Hubbard. He crashed early on in this one as well, so he's trying to recover, work his way forward. Reed Young runs in 11th. Devin Davis sits in 12th. Daniel Mills is 13th. Cade Matherly runs in 14th. Chase Blakely in 15th. William St. Laurent in 16th. Jet Wisdom, they're in 17th. Caleb Hall now in 18th. Ash Deering 19th. And Robert Wilson in the final points-paying position. Braden Castellaneta, Jeff Cooper right behind him. Then you've got Austin Bear and Dylan Smith. Logan Heagney going to make a pass as well because Dylan Smith just went flying off the track. Chase Donovan also was able to scoot by. Here's Roy Mitchell, Cole Gress, Kyle Carpenter, Caden Speck, and then Jack Haley on the 2-stroke. And I believe Jeremy Siebold is still somewhere behind this group. So Blake O'Brien, Aaron Rockefeller, and then yes, here is your 2020 Supercross champion, Jeremy Siebold. He has had an awful start to this moto. Currently down in 34th place is Jeremy Siebold on the number 9 Covenant Honda, and he has got his work cut out for him. We'll see the progress of Haley and Siebold a little bit later on as the race progresses. I wanted to get a lap time check again, though, to see whether or not Leclerc is catching him, and it doesn't look like Lang is actually being caught. He's opened that gap up over 5 seconds, puts down a 2:05 flat. Leclerc, first lap in clean air, and it wasn't a good one. He's going to lay down a 2:06 flat himself, so didn't quite gain on Lang like you might have expected after moving into that second spot, and might have to go back to the drawing board a little bit here. Magnetti is keeping Leclerc honest. Been right there in the mix the entire time. So up the hill they go, and Magnetti trying to put that power to the ground. 5.3 second lead for Lang. So I wonder, maybe just a little mistake perhaps for Leclerc. Not often he drops like 2 seconds off of his hot lap pace like that, unless he maybe was just taking a breath after going through the field the way he did. But now that he's kind of reestablished himself, he's opening up a small gap again on Magnetti. See if we find ourselves a battle here. There we go. Colby Eagland, Matthias Janis. This is a battle for 6th, I believe. Hubbard just off the back. You can see Holm coming up the hill. This is a good train here, and Eagland ripped that middle rut. I have not seen anybody hit that middle rut that good tonight. So Eagland now closing up on Janis there on the 130. And Hubbard, I feel like, is catching both of them. He is getting kind of right up into the mix here. Bummer for Hubbard to go down as early as he did, because it seems like he's got some pretty strong pace here tonight. Dropping back down the hill. I love that jump. Everybody always kicks it out the exact same way up that jump. Just lets the rear end float out to the right. Seems like this battle is kind of pushing up to Trent Adams right now. So we got a four rider-ish battle. Guess you could say 5 or 6 even with how close some guys are back there. Battle for 5th as finally Eagland bursts his way around Janis, and now Janis makes a mistake, so Hubbard had closed right up there, and if Hubbard got that rut clean, he would have passed him as Holm goes down in the background. Now Hubbard putting all kinds of pressure on Janis, and up the road, Adams getting passed by Eagland, so Eagland on the charge, dualies up the step up. Dropping down the hill again. Adams, Eagland. Oh, wow. Here comes Walter Gebhardt, actually. Walter Gebhardt on the Integrity Farms number 5, which I don't understand why I don't have their skins. I definitely remember downloading their skins earlier today. So maybe he's just running default stuff and saying he's on that team. But the number 5 machine closing right up here, trying to go to the inside on Adams. And Gebhardt continues to be arguably the fastest rider in this series that just doesn't put it together for a whole moto, unfortunately. Like, he is on par almost always in race pace with Leclerc. It just seems like he crashes a little bit more often. And the starts also aren't there. Leclerc very consistently gets great starts. Gebhardt does not. Let's check back in with the lead as we approach the halfway point here of 450 Moto number 1, and it's still Tyler Lang out front, and it looks like that gap has continued to grow. It's a 6-second lead right now for Lang. 2:04.6 versus a 2:04.4 for Lang. So Leclerc going 0.2 a lap slower right now. Coming through in third, of course, Luke Magnetti on the BPC number 30. And then fourth is Dennis Fjellberg on the Phil's KTM number 3. Fifth is Colby Eagland and Walter Gebhardt right behind him. So we got a battle for fourth brewing. Gebhardt absolutely flying. I want to see his lap time. 2:02.3. Walter Gebhardt resets fastest lap of the race with a 2:02.3. And he is absolutely flying. A 2:04.5 out of Eagland and a 2:08.5 out of Fjellberg. Gebhardt just went 6 seconds faster than Fjellberg in fourth on that last lap alone. Oh, coming down the inside, Gebhardt and Eagland both get around Fjellberg, and Gebhardt crucially gets them both. He got around Eagland coming to the outside, then swooped back to the inside to get Fjellberg and takes over the 4 spot. What a ridiculous pass by Walter Gebhardt. And, oh, he blows it, and Eagland blows it too. And Gebhardt has to avoid Eagland's flipping bike and rejoins on the track now in 5th. Close-knit battle here. Hubbard trying to close up on Adams. We got dualies with a lapper back there. Not sure who that was. But Gebhardt now has to go back to the drawing board to try to catch up to Fjellberg for 4th. As again, our front 3 have really opened up a pretty good gap on the rest of the field. It's 5 seconds back to Leclerc, another 4-ish seconds back to Magnetti, and then 11 seconds down to Fjellberg in that kind of battle we were watching earlier on. Battle continues though. Trent Adams right there on Gebhardt. You can see Hubbard on the 11 in the background. Outside to in for Hubbard. Not quite close enough just yet, though. Going to try another inside line down here. Again, still not just close enough, though. And Adams under attack as Hubbard slides it down, corrals it together, and continues on. That was a wild ride for sure. Speed being carried up the hill by Hubbard up the inside of Adams. Adams jumps across the track to shut the door, and he lost a little bit of time doing so. Hubbard is swapping all the way down the hill, and he still might make the pass, and he does. Hubbard was completely sideways through the first 3 or 4 braking bumps coming down the hill, somehow gathered the Phil's KTM back underneath of him, and makes the pass on Adams. What a great job right there to not lose it and also keep the speed up to make that pass happen. Adams now settling back into the clutches here. A couple more riders down. That is definitely Fjellberg and the 33 of Leclerc both down. And suddenly Janice now on the back of Fjellberg. So that just swapped whoever was in 4th And it's now, oh, Leclerc has lost a spot to Magnetti, so Magnetti's gone back by into second. So now Lang has a sizable lead on Magnetti, then Leclerc third, Gebhardt has charged all the way up to fourth, then Hubbard in fifth, and Eaglin now sixth. So some swapping around going on, and we're not yet 20 minutes into this moto. Eagland trying to close up here onto Hubbard. And these two trying to stick with Walter Gebhardt, who continues to lay down a blistering pace. And I wonder if he might not have his sights set on Leclerc ahead of him. A 2:04.2. Leclerc just did a 2:16.1. Of course, we know that was with a fall-off crash somewhere in there, but you know, take 10 seconds off of that, and Gebhardt still gained time on him in actual, actual pace. So we'll have to see where this settles. But Leclerc now trying to close back up onto Magnetti, and Eaglin has got around Hubbard. So Hubbard made a mistake. Whoa, Janice in the background. These guys really sliding it down coming up this start straight here. Hubbard had a mistake a few laps ago, and you got Adam Holm battling here with Fjellberg. Look at, you see Holm even right there. I think it's just because the right side of the track, these guys are digging into the ground a little bit, making just kind of like a V-shaped divot, and they're trying to hug the right side of the track more and more and more coming up the hill and not lose too much time. And as they do so, their rear tires sliding into that established line that everybody was taking, and it's really just causing them to slide up the hill, and you let that go a little bit too long, and you have a mistake like we saw out of Hubbard. And Holm goes down, battling there with Fjellberg. So Fjellberg scoots on by. Daniel Mills will also make the pass on Holm, and Holm now gets back up as, more lap traffic going through. It's so tough to kind of keep track of who's on the lead lap with everybody going by. The man who is definitely on the lead lap, though, right now is Tyler Lang on the Underground RC Kawasaki, and he is ripping around the track right now, looking awfully strong and potentially on his way to his first career 450 moto victory. Of course, he is one of the three riders in the midst of the championship fight there in second behind Leclerc. So I think what he's hoping for here is Magnetti can hold steady in the 2 spot and keep Leclerc behind him. Advantage Lang there, of course, because 5 points gained. Leclerc does have a 7-point lead in the championship, though. And he's definitely closing on Magnetti slowly but surely. Off-track excursion for Trent Adams, and Janice goes by into the 5 spot. So Matthias Janice now moves into, I think that's 5th, right? Yeah, 5th for Janice. That's now going to be 6th for Eagland, and Adams slips back to 7th. So Eagland has kind of been going back and forth in the top 10 here. At one point had charged his way up to 4th, I think. Then crashed his way back to 7th, now finds his way back into 6th. Oh, excuse me. Thank you for the correction, KR. Yes, Lang did win his first career moto last week. So it'll be the 2nd straight win for him if he can get it done here. Keep getting my GPs and Nationals mixed up. So Magnetti has definitely been caught here by Leclerc, and the battle for second is on with 7.5 minutes and 2 laps still to go. Magnetti's pace has been such that he can definitely at least keep Leclerc honest here for a while. But Leclerc is going a little bit faster every single lap, and you have to wonder, Leclerc, if he's going to be patient about this or want to make a quick pass and get out of there, knowing that Gebhardt is still lurking in the background. You're patient here if you're Leclerc. Perhaps a little mistake, a tip over, even a fall-off crash with some front-end lock on the back of Magnetti's rear tire. And suddenly Gebhardt's by into 3rd. Got a request from Owen Reimer to go on board Leclerc, but that is about to turn into a non-battle, it looks like, as Leclerc moves around. Magnetti does a 2:06.6 and finds his way into 2nd. We'll stick on board Leclerc here for a little bit, though, and see how the track is developing. You can see there's some definite deeper lines going into this first corner is where the most obvious development is, because that was flat on the first lap of the race. Now there's a pretty good sized rut going to the inside. Now these guys are kind of pushing that rut out a little bit right there, coming out of that corner. So where it was kind of kicking off to the left, it goes more mid. And then this one just has lines kind of strewn across the track. They're just making this inside line bigger and deeper every time they go through it. And then this is where it's really tricky. That bumpy section right there, it's getting slightly deeper every lap and a little bit tougher to navigate. Inside line for Leclerc. Does he still go for the triple? Yes, he does. Double triple up the hill. And then some good sized braking bumps to the inside here. Now drops back down the hill. 15.5 seconds gap to Lang. You can see Leclerc, he's kind of electing to take the right-ish side of the left side of the track, so I guess like pretty much in the middle, to avoid more of the outside chop coming to that corner and still go to the outside at the bottom of the hill, because that's a preferred line, but not hit the chop that everybody else has been hitting the entire moto. He's kind of hopping around to some different lines, trying to feel out where the good parts of the track are and where the bad parts are. But you can see he's just kind of arcing corners in, arcing corners out, really trying to focus on apexing from corner to corner. And he's on the sidewall of the tire a lot more because of that, but his suspension setup appears to be dialed, because he just is going through these bumps, and it's definitely not kicking him out bad or anything like that. And he's looking really smooth and fluid doing everything as well. So 5 minutes and 2 laps left to go here in 450 Moto number 1 at Thunder Valley, and a 15-second lead for Lang is darn near a guarantee in this class. It's crazy how infrequent crashing is in the 450 class anymore. I say that, and I'm sure we're about to see something, but you just don't often see the leaders crash too much anymore. Maybe once a race, but that's how they are the best in the world at this game. There's an onboard lap with Leclerc. Here is your leader, Tyler Lang, up to the tippy top of the hill, down by the Thunder Valley sign, and pretty much continues to just kind of do smooth laps out front. Not like he's setting the world ablaze, doing anything massive, any big lines, anything different really than what Leclerc is doing behind him. It's just that he's doing it fairly consistently, losing maybe a half second a lap to Leclerc. And that's plenty, because he has got a 14-second lead with only 4 minutes and 2 laps on the clock. So he should be pretty good to go there. Here's Leclerc, though, still charging. And Gebhardt has clawed all the way up into third. So Walter Gebhardt really has done a good job to fly his way through the field. And some of you may remember Walter Gebhardt in the GP on Monday while leading, I think it was, or maybe he was in second, disconnecting from the second moto. So Gebhardt often does these races pretty much just for fun anymore, it seems. Doesn't really seem like he's committed to a championship, but he's still so fast, and even with a bad start, this is still what he can do. He can still finish third in a moto. Ooh, Magnetti down again. So Magnetti continues to run into some late moto problems here, and it is going to cost him fourth, as around the outside goes Colby Eaglin. There was a lapped rider that went through there. So Gebhardt now has a sizable gap in third, but Eaglin now moves up to fourth, and Magnetti, after running second for so much of this race, kind of running into some problems late here. Got Matthias Janis right now just behind them in the 6th spot. Trent Adams in 7th. Sullivan 8th, or excuse me, Hubbard 8th. Daniel Mills in 9th. And Dennis Fjellberg has slipped back into 10th. Fjellberg definitely trying to close up onto Mills for 9th. Mills on the 15 Jack Daniels Racing machine. Had a pretty strong Supercross campaign again. Seems like that might be his forte, though he's no slouch outdoors either. Good battle, though, brewing here, as Fjellberg would like a piece of him. Time closing up on expiring though, just over a minute and a half until the clock strikes 0. Riders going down in the background as Fjellberg continues to lurk on Daniel Mills. I want to go take a look up ahead. We got Leclerc. It's 11 seconds behind Lang, but his bigger problem is this man right here. Just 4 seconds behind Leclerc. Did a 2:07.1 last time by, so he's a little bit off the pace compared to what Leclerc put down, but you can see Gebhardt's pretty much flying here, and just as I say that, he goes down. So Gebhardt hitting the deck out of the 3 spot and not going to lose his podium position, but does lose a lot of time to Leclerc ahead of him, and it might now just be down to Lang versus Leclerc to decide this race victory. And with just 37 seconds left on the clock as Lang crosses the line here, this is most definitely going to be the 3 laps to go moment. So 2 to go next time by. You got the 2-lap board come out, and he just put Jack Haley and a host of other riders a lap down right there. Claire just trying to stay somewhat close and hope for something to happen to your race leader, Tyler Lang. .9 seconds. Gaps come down a little bit, and Eaglin way off back here with Gebhardt. So Gebhardt had another mistake. Looks like he might be putting on his late moto, just kind of almost wreckfest is what I call it at this point, because he starts riding way over his head for kind of no reason. I mean, he was already in such a good spot doing a really strong pace, but then he just starts trying to go one faster, and then everything falls apart. So Matthias Janis. Oh, rider going down. That's a lapped rider, though. But Janis about to deal with Gebhardt, who just got up from that crash. And Gebhardt doesn't seem like he's waiting around too much for anything. He wants to just go, go, go. Oh, and had made the pass, but then slid out of the corner. Janis has to take evasive action, so Gebhardt is able to stay on track there and continue on in what is now 5th? 6th? 4th, excuse me. They've passed a couple guys. So Eaglin now 3rd. Got Leclerc 2nd. Gap staying pretty stagnant. 2-lap board going out. And let's see if Leclerc has gone any closer. No, 8 seconds down now. It's gone out a little bit, so 2:81 to a 2:10.2. Leclerc did gain 2 seconds that last lap, but it was down to 7.4 seconds at one point. .4 seconds though. Another perhaps mistake from Lang with 2 laps to go. The pressure intensifying here down the stretch. Leclerc never really can count him out, because he'll just start putting qualifying laps down on consecutive laps towards the end of the moto, and before you know it, he's on you for the lead. So Lang has really got to get back onto his pace here, kind of regroup and just focus ahead. Can't let that pit board in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen play in your mind too much. You can't look at it, see the time going down, and think that you're screwed. You still have a lap and a half to get this thing done. Lang has been so strong this entire moto. Oh man, lapped riders coming into play here. This is really going to hurt him. See if these guys elect to move out of the way. Nicely done there, and nicely done on the outside as well. So Lang responded to that very well. 3.6 seconds, so Leclerc is definitely closing, and closing in a hurry. I think he senses the opportunity that he can still win this moto. And he has upped the pace. Lap traffic just ahead of Lang, still coming into play a little bit. And it is going to be sub 3 with a lap to go. Lang has cleared lap traffic. He's going to maybe hit one more rider as the white flag comes out this time by. Sub 3 seconds, gap at 2.6, a 2:05.2 out of Leclerc, a 2:10.9 out of Lang. Dealing with the lap traffic, Leclerc is trying to close this thing down and win it as the white flag has waved at Thunder Valley. Who's going to win the first 450 moto of the night? Let's find out right now. This is going to be a good one down the stretch. Leclerc is eating time away in a hurry, and this is one of his best spots of the track, is this uphill. Maybe got the landing a little bit wrong there, but a mistake for Lang, and oh, it has come down to nearly nothing. About to be under a second as they drop down the hill. Battle for the win here, 450 Moto 1. Who is going to take it? Lap traffic clears off the inside there as he went down, and Leclerc gets a little sideways. But he rides the rear wheel up to the top of the hill, and Lang is in definite trouble at this point. The question is, where does Leclerc sense the opportunity to make a pass? Does he have a line already picked out that he's been using most of the race that Lang is not? Look at this. Outside line for Leclerc into the corner, and he's right on him. Leclerc is all over Lang. Lang kind of getting a little wayward, dealing with the pressure. Leclerc has lost a little bit of ground, and Lang gets the corner that I thought Leclerc might have him in a little bit cleaner. Down to the bottom of the hill, Lang good through there. Lap traffic moving out of the way, very nicely done, down by the mechanics area. Just a few corners left, and Lang has got this thing won, but Leclerc is putting the heat on him. If Leclerc is not closer through this S corner, it's over, because Lang can defend into the inside in the final corner, and he's looking very strong. He's got to get through this rut clean, and he does. Now Lang just got to hit the wall jump clean and into the final corner, defend the inside. Wow, he's not actually. He's going to go for the middle run. He kind of blows it. Leclerc's trying to go up the inside. It's a drag race to the finish, and Lang takes the win in 450 Moto 1. Half a second in it, and Leclerc had his opportunity. Lang kind of dogged it into the last corner and then blew the corner wide open. Leclerc shot down the inside and just missed out. Eaglin will cross the line with a third. It's going to be Gebhardt coming down to finish this one in the 4 spot. Adams and Janis continue their fight, and this will be for 5th. Oh, Janis through the front door. He's going to go down. Will that cost him a spot? No, Magnetti is buried. Wow, Magnetti lost a lot of spots late in this one. So in the end, a great ride. Trent Adams comes across in the 5 spot. 6th for Janis. And of course, you guys in chat still bringing it up. It always could come down to cuts, also known as the penalties system, which is given out if you're going off the track too many times, if you miss some timing gates that are sprawled out through the track. There are 75 timing gates on this track. So if you miss one, you miss two, and you go too fast from the timing gate before it to the timing gate after it, it'll give you the penalty minus that time that you gained, essentially. So we do not know if this result is official yet. It still could go in Leclerc's favor, as Fjellberg ends up 8th, Mills 9th, and wow, what a charge late in this one. Carter ends up in 10th. Braden Carter has had awful luck on the starts this year, but he ends up 10th in this one. 11th for Adam Holm. Devin Davis with a strong ride in 12th. Battle to the flag here between Castaneda, Wilson, Carpenter, and Hubbard. Anybody going to do something frisky here in this last turn? Castaneda. Oh, look at this line from Hubbard to the outside. Carpenter goes to defend, and he holds him by a 10th. And here comes Caleb Hall. He's going to be the last to finish. Let's look at it for cuts. Oh, excuse me. Still one more rider to finish, it looks like. Yeah, one more rider to finish. So, tentatively behind that, first rider a lap down. So, Hall ends up 17th, 18th for Roy Mitchell, 19th for Jack Haley, and Austin Bear ended up in 20th. We'll wait for cuts. No, timing gates are not track markers. You can't see them. Oftentimes they do kind of put timing gates near like SpongeBob's. Some of them are just on straight up Achereby's stakes, but usually they're not uniformly laid out. They just kind of sprawl them out randomly in certain sections. Here we go, and it does go in favor of Leclerc by 1/10 of a second. It was just enough. Lang left just enough room. 5/10 of a second of cuts for Tyler Lang, and Leclerc wins the first moto here at Thunder Valley. Unbelievable. 0.109. That's straight up Ferrandis versus Sexton last weekend at Fox Raceway. And incredible turn of events after Lang had led literally the entire moto. And Leclerc gets it without ever leading a single lap of the race. But he wins the first moto here. Unbelievably so at Thunder Valley. Go through and see if anybody else changed on cuts real quick. Looks like Wilson jumped to 13th on Castellaneta. And Hubbard jumped to 15th on Carpenter. And Haley jumped around Mitchell. There's a couple other things that were shuffled around back there. But there you have it, folks. We got a lawyer win on display. Lang loses it on cuts. Crazy, 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 crazy. All right, back to our intermission screen here. Of course, Kellen Brower in booth here at Start Your Systems for round 2 of the RaceFactory Gaming National Championship in MX Simulator, round 2 of the series, round 2 of 12. And we just saw a crazy first 450 moto, and very little break here heading into 250 Moto 2. So a reminder, while you guys are hanging out in chat, please be sure to ask me any questions while we're here in a little intermission screen. But again, thank you to R Jerky. Shout them out here on the broadcast. That's folks at R Jerky. That's eatrjerky.com. See if I can get the camera to focus on it. There we go. eatrjerky.com. Use the code SYS20 there to get 20% off your order. And of course, thank you to ayetom.com, AYETOM.com. Thank you so much for the support from those guys. And of course, shout out to Y4XN for the sub. Thanks so much for that. And yeah, see you guys react in chat to that. Some people on the side of Leclerc, some people hoping that Lang was able to hold on to that. But in the end, it does, of course, go to Leclerc. And definitely a wild finish right there. Let's see. What do we got in chat coming through? The Reed 34 says, why does Tim Geiser crash just as much as Hurlings and often in spectacular fashion, but not get hurt like Hurlings does? Honestly, what it comes down to is some people have the ability to like not tense up during a crash, while other people do. And Hurlings is a guy that tenses up when he crashes. So if you tense up and you stick your hand out, or you know, like full spread out your arm and jab it into the ground, it's going to break a lot easier like that. Or if you auger in really hard and you don't roll through it or whatever. When you see Geiser crash, most of the time he's like rolling or flipping or spiraling or something like that, which, yes, they look like spectacular crashes, but that's all losing energy and inertia as he's doing that. Hurlings, when he crashes, he comes to a stop often, and that's what gets you hurt. It's not necessarily the wild, spectacular crash. It's the sudden stop that gets you hurt, and that's why Hurlings just gets hurt more often. Yeah, a lawyer win. Honestly, it's an achievement that JLV gives you. If you check out the MX Simulator servers page, it's literally called a lawyer win if you win based on penalties. So that's what we just saw. So we call it a lawyer win. What number of road do they use for the track again? I think it's like 0.3 or 0.4. It's something pretty low, so it doesn't, you know, wear down too much. You don't want it to be dramatic, but something around that. Do you believe MX Bikes will someday have a competitive racing side of it, kind of like Sim? Yeah, Bikes already has a competitive racing side of it. They have Backyard MX, they have PDSX, they have OMX, I think, too. There's like, oh, and then Aerial SX, of course, doing their series. But yeah, there's a lot of different series already running bikes. The problem is the netcode is still just not quite there so that you can see everybody all at once. So they have to shorten the amount of riders that are out there. Shout out, of course, to Ethan Lennox for the sub. But the scene is coming. Like, there is going to be bigger and bigger competitive races in bikes. It's a slow process. Sim was the same way. The first 4 or so years of competitive racing in Sim was really low-key. And then it started taking off. So it just needs to get to that point, and it won't be long, in my opinion, before we're there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're going to go ahead and jump back into the server and check it out here as 250 Moto number 2 lines up on the gate. Payson Johnson looking to go 1-1, and a host of others looking to knock him off the pedestal. I'm going to get a quick sip of water. And we are ready to go racing. Here we go. Final moto of the 250 class here tonight at Thunder Valley. Let's drop the gate on the 250s. Going to be coming out of the inside again. I thought I switched just in time, but it looks like I caught everybody at the back of the pack. So coming through and actually getting the whole shot, it was Nathan Prynn with Payson Johnson right there. So Prynn on the Phil's KTM, Johnson side by side. We got dualies going up the hill there, and it is close out front. And the two guys that we really wanted to see start this race out front are 1 and 2 early on. Looks like might be Sullivan back there in third. Yes, it is. Sullivan on the 18 with a good start as well. So really, a host of guys that we really kind of wanted to see start at the sharp end of the field here have done so. And that is going to be good news for us as we watch this battle unfold. Johnson already trying to go to work on Prynn out front. And just like in the first moto, Johnson didn't waste too much time. Even with having some fast competition right in front of him, he did not want to waste too much time behind them as he shot to the lead, and it looks like he's about to do it again around the outside. Johnson to the front. So Payson Johnson leads. Nathan Prynn settles back into second, and it looks like Sullivan is in third, so we're looking at nearly a repeat from the first moto, but Johnson slides out. Prynn goes by. Sullivan through. There's right on a Cowie mixed in there. That's Nate Brow. He's by into the 3 spot. Wilcox now up into 4th. Hunt 5th. Seth Carr 6th. Klein 7th. Burns is in 8th, and Johnson back to 9th. So how about that for a turn of events? And suddenly Nathan Prynn is leading once again here in Thunder Valley, which he did a lot of in the first moto before Payson Johnson caught him past the halfway point and was able to get on through. So Prynn looking to repeat that again, except for not allow Johnson by, of course. And we're going to see whether or not Johnson can weave his way through this pack, because this is a feisty group of really good riders in the front here early on. Seth Carr and Sean Klein just ahead of him. Klein, a mistake. He's going to go off the track. It's a couple more spots for each of these guys back here. Burns, Johnson, and Carr all gain a spot each. Cooper Hunt here on Nate Brow. And, of course, Wilcox with a good start as well. Wilcox was towards the front in Fox Raceway last week. So, of course, as it runs in this very early stage, Prynn would win with a 2-1 overall. Johnson, even if he gets second here in this moto behind Prynn, would not win the overall. Sullivan was 4th in the first moto. He's looking at a 2nd right now. Wilcox 12th in the first moto. He's in 3rd. Nate Brow, he was further down the order. I don't think he actually scored points in the first moto, if I remember correctly. Yeah, he was down in 30th in the first moto. So Brow has some work cut out for him to score some points in this moto, but he's got a good start to handle it. We'll see if he can make something happen. Cooper Hunt, he was 5th in the first moto. And, of course, our Moto 1 winner, Payson Johnson, right behind him as well. Got Trevor Burns still in the mix. Keen to see what Johnson does on these opening laps, though, trying to weave his way through the field. Goes up the inside of his teammate Hunt. And into 5th place he goes. Now he's going to close up here on Nate Brow on that 5.73. And looking like he's already trying to make a pass. Going to launch down the hill in front of him. Oh, a little dualies, opposite kick out. And Johnson already through into 4th. So Payson Johnson is not playing around here tonight. He is wasting very little time. Nice layover for a scrub right there up to the top. swinging around and already on the back of Wilcox. So this is more or less a good example of where Payson Johnson is in comparison to the riders he's on the track with. And it's not to disregard the riders he's racing against. They are some of the best in the world, no question. But Johnson is just at an elite level in this 250 class. And boy, oh boy, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch him when he finally decides to move up to a 450, because it seems like pace-wise, he's already there. Might be one of the few riders that could actually pace-wise keep up with Leclerc on any given night. But down the inside, a big one. Thomas Wilcox gets kicked over the bars. So Brow and Hunt go by. Burns also through Seth Carr and Sean Klein, and then Luke Sullivan. Behind that comes Dylan Love. So a nice start for Dylan Love here. But you can see this freight train of riders, and down at the bottom of the hill, Cooper Hunt just got around Nate Brow. So it is Prin from Johnson and Hunt. So Nate Brow still trying to hold on this underground RC effort, putting in a strong ride early in this second moto. Got shuffled back by Johnson. Then his teammate Hunt came through, and now comes their third teammate into the mix, Trevor Burns. And Seth Carr sitting right behind them as well. Wow, Payson Johnson already sub 2 seconds behind Prin. We'll have to go up to that battle for the lead before long. Keeping an eye close on this one, though, to see what happens. See if Trevor Burns tries to make something happen here into the final couple of corners, and then we'll shoot up to that battle for the lead that is brewing. Burns is going to follow Brow into this corner here. You got to give credit where credit's due, though. Nate Brow is absolutely flying around the track right now, putting in one of his best early rides of the season. It's just so tough to go up against some of these guys. As mentioned, like, it just shows you that Johnson is on that extra elite level when these guys are kind of funneling through and catching Brow in a hurry, and they're all going by him because, like, I mean, Brow is a great rider. He is one of the fastest 40 riders on a 250 in the world here tonight. And, you know, these guys are all just that step up above him, but then you have to go down to see Johnson and see the step up above that. It's crazy the pace that Johnson can ride a 250F in this game. And battle for the lead is a brewing. 1.1 seconds. Lap time check real quick before we get into it. 2:03.2 to a 2:05.3. Nathan Prin is just sitting here thinking, what more do I have to do? Gets the lead, puts in hot laps, opens a gap, doesn't even matter. We're not 8 minutes into this thing, and Johnson has gone from 9th to 2nd and is already closing on him for the lead. It's just kind of one of those days where it's tough to establish what you could do to beat Johnson other than just hope for more crashing, I guess. So down through that mechanics area, and Johnson is right there on Prin. Now the question is, Johnson knows that his pace is good enough to catch and pass Prin. Does he wait it out a little bit then? Just kind of settle in behind him and try to run a similar pace and wait for a mistake? Or does he try to just get by him now and open up that gap? Usually speaking in sim, the second option is the better one because there's always the risk that you will crash yourself. But at the elite level these guys ride at, they might just have something different when it comes to mind games. And look at this. Outside for Johnson. Doesn't quite get it. Somehow turns on a dime and leaves a nickel change as he goes up the hill and does not go down. And he's still right there on Prin. Great battle for the lead. This is going to be a good one. Prin is not willing to fold over. Johnson is unwavering with his relentless attack. Oh, Prin launched a little bit high up there, and Johnson's been so strong down the left side of the track. Could this be it for the lead? Johnson sending it down the hill, trying to get to the inside. Prin holds the line, but Johnson just is too much, and Johnson takes the lead. Prin trying to fight back with a drive up the inside, up the uphill. They're rubbing number plates, and Prin back to the inside takes the lead again. Unbelievable battle, and now Johnson sideways and down. Got a kick and a rut, and he was off the bike halfway down the hill. That's a long fall-off crash, and he somehow still gets going in second place just as Hunt gets there. Here's Hunt trying to get to the inside. Johnson shuts the door hard to hold on to second, but now Prin has that 10-second gap established again. That was incredible action there for a quick moment, and then it came unglued kind of in a hurry. So we'll see whether or not Prin can settle into a pace. Or will Johnson just start chunking the time away again? Behind, again, it is Cooper Hunt and Trevor Burns. So kind of the opposite of what we saw last moto. Johnson led on his Covenant Honda in the last moto. And then, of course, behind him, it was Prin, Leitzel, Sullivan, 3 Phil's KTM riders. Now we got Prin leading on his Phil's KTM. And then we have 3 Covenant Honda riders of Johnson, Hunt, and Burns in tow behind that. So literally the exact opposite. Kind of funny how that all works out. Back to the battle between Seth Carr and Sean Klein, and then Luke Sullivan coming through behind that. So Sullivan, he was up front early on, crashed his way back to outside of the top 10 actually, and now finds himself here in 7th. And keeping tabs on this Klein Carr battle going on up the road, which is getting a little feisty. Carr putting himself in a good position here early on in this second moto. Was not the best first moto for the Underground RC ride with the 18th in moto number 1. So Seth Carr, Sean Klein, and Sullivan in a bit of a freight train here. Looks like Sullivan's actually closing up on Klein just ahead of him. So gap's kind of fluctuating here a little bit. Seems like every time Klein closes up a little bit on Carr, Sullivan loses a little bit of ground at the same time. Then Klein just makes another mistake, so Sullivan closes up on him. It's kind of yo-yoing here. Looking at the time at the top of the screen there, 5-second gap for Prince, so it is definitely coming down between him and Payson Johnson in second. We'll have to get back up and see lap time check here in a moment as we creep up to the 13-minute mark of this 30-minute plus 2-lap 250 Moto 2. Nothing budging. There it is. Finally, Seth Carr, a mistake. Seems like these guys are going to run nose to tail for the better half of this race at that point with the way things were going. But Seth Carr pushes the nose into the first turn. And Klein and Sullivan both take advantage. So that will move Klein up into 5th. Sullivan now moves to 6th. And a rider down at the top of the hill, that's Cooper Hunt. So Cooper Hunt on the 38 Covenant ride goes from 3rd back to 7th, or I'm sorry, 6th, now back to 7th because Seth Carr just shot by for 6th. And Carr right back onto Sullivan, so he's not wanting to let him go. Klein moves up to 4th in that exchange as well. And Trevor Burns goes from 4th to 3rd after Hunt crashes his way backwards. So it just gives you an indication kind of how close everything still is. Kind of feels like Prin and Johnson are way up the road from this group, but they're really only about 10 seconds ahead of this right now. So Sullivan and Klein still continuing their battle. Again, I wanted to get a lap time check out here real quick, and then we'll do a run through the field. So a 2:05.3, then a 2:04.7. So Prin continuing to run ridiculous lap times. Johnson did a 2:02.3 to reset fastest lap of the race, and followed it up with a 2:05.7. So he's about a second off that time there of Prin, and the gap stabilized at about 6 seconds there. So let's go ahead and do a top 20 rundown real quick as we reach up to the halfway point. 15 minutes down, 15 minutes still to go. And Jason Wygant will likely tell you what you can do with 15 minutes, but 15 more minutes of this race still to go. So I'm going to tell you, with 15 minutes of your time, you could head over to rjerky, eatrjerky.com, and use the code SYS20. And they are going to bring you this top 20 rundown here. Get 20% off your order there. So rjerky, oh, a little mistake for Prin. But he's back after it there on his Phil's KTM. The number 42 rider out of France continues to lead here at Thunder Valley. Second is Payson Johnson on the number 1, your defending champion on that Covenant Honda. Third is Trevor Burns, his teammate, on the number 50s. Third right now belongs to Sean Klein on the ever good number 10. Oh, just a little Oppo whip coming down the hill. I like the steez, but he was definitely about to go down if he didn't have the little bit of floater going on right there. So nice kind of recovery there for Klein, because that could have been a lot worse for him. So Klein there in fourth. Luke Sullivan runs in fifth on the Phil's KTM number 18. Sixth for Seth Carr on the Underground RC number 347. Seventh is Cooper Hunt on the number 38 Covenant Honda. Eighth is his teammate on the number 65, Jaden Wilson. Ninth for Thomas Wilcox on the C4 Designs number 33. And 10th is Casey Cochran on the BPC number 90. 11th for Braden Tharp on the EVP number 415. 12th for Ethan Gerst on the Covenant number 58. 13th for Dylan Love on the Pro Line Designs number 174. 14th, it goes to Frank Jackson right now on the 47 Team NAMI effort. 15th for Daniel Irvine on the atom.com number 96. 17th for Logan Leitzel on the Phil's KTM number 13. 18th for Ryan Pinkerton on the AEO Power Sports number 395. 19th for Neil Fitzpatrick on the Pro Line Designs number 71. And 20th is Seth Shirley on the atom.com. Excuse me, not 20th, he's 19th. Got to go back to Phil Bull. He is in 20th on the Team Volcom number 98. So that was your top 20 rundown, brought to you by rjerky. Use the code SYS20 for 20% off your order. All right, back to the lead group. Prin and Johnson separated by 10.4 seconds. Johnson a mistake last time by 2:11.4. So Prin holding steady under pressure. Back to this battle between Carr, Sullivan, and Hunt. Seems like the battle for 4th and 5th has just been the best one to keep an eye on here tonight. This one is for 5th, of course. Seth Carr up the hill. Hunt sideways and down. So Cooper Hunt gets the kick at the top of the hill. His teammate Jaden Wilson goes by as they charge down the hill. And you can see from that angle really how crazy the drop-off is. We'll look at Casey Cochran here as he comes over the hill with Wilcox right behind him. But look at this downhill here. Look at how hard they charge down the hills. You see Wilcox just getting a little frisky going down the hill into that corner, but you can see how much steeper it is from the top of the hill here as they continue to work their way through, and they're going to come up through this section right here. Wilcox has indeed made that pass on Casey Cochran as they come back into the inside of the corner at the top of the hill. And a nice perspective there from the cameras that you don't normally get to see the elevation change. Sean Klein, Luke Sullivan. This battle is slowly but surely coming together. And Jaden Wilson in the background has kind of replaced Cooper Hunt as the Covenant ride on the caboose in this one. But he seems to be going faster perhaps than Hunt was and closing on this group in a hurry. So this could turn into a little four-rider train before long. You can see him just there in the background, a little flash of red. Creeping up on 2/3 of the way done with 250 Moto number 2. 19 minutes have come and gone. 11 minutes and 2 laps still remain. Gonna see how this thing all unfolds. Can Johnson close up on Prin, or will Prin pick up his first career overall victory in the USA? This is gonna be a good one, no question about it. Look at this, Seth Carr up the inside of Sullivan. So Seth Carr on the 347 makes the pass on his underground RC Kawasaki. That's a solid move right there. Rider down, that is lapped rider right there. Noticing that Isaiah Dickerson appears to be out of this race is Seth Carr just after he makes a great pass. Unfortunately, loops it out going up the uphill, and that's a tough spot to go down. Ooh, another rider down. That's the same rider that was just down a moment ago. Oh, Klein. Oh, Klein goes down. And then Seth Carr slides out right behind him. So that's going to shuffle this all around again real quick. So I believe... Oh, that actually moves Sullivan up to third. Excuse me. So Burns made a mistake in all this. Yeah, Burns just went down. So Trevor Burns was in third. He just went down. He's going to lose 4 spots. Almost 5. As his teammate comes down the hill behind him. That's Jaden Wilson. So he almost lost 5 spots. But refreshing it again. So Sullivan shoots by into the 3 spot. Seth Carr goes into 4th around Sean Klein. Klein back to 5th. Hunt now 6th. Wilson battling with his teammate Burns there for 7th. Burns holds steady for the time being, but this is a close battle between teammates. Into the wall jump, almost bar to bar. Oh, man. Burns absolutely laid it down on the uphill triple. So can Jaden Wilson crack the code, or is Trevor Burns perhaps just going a little bit faster? And he's going to be able to sneak away as Seth Carr goes down. And he loses several positions as well. And Wilcox is right off the back of this group. So really, 3 through 8 here, 3 through 9 I think it is, are very, very close together still. Charging up the hill, Jaden Wilson getting a little wayward there, and Trevor Burns off the track. Oh my gosh, what a save, but then has to lay it down to not hit Jonathan Alexander, who was on the ground, and you can see how close this group was. He just lost 3 positions right there, almost lost a 4th as Wilcox now closes up. But Seth Carr went by, Jaden Wilson went by, and of course he was in that battle with Cooper Hunt. And Sean Klein just up the road. Here's Sullivan still. And race leader Nathan Prin at the front of this entire train still. 12-second lead. Man, Prin, this is actually pretty impressive, because as good as Johnson has been here today, he has just not really been able to eat away at the time that Prin is putting down out front at 2:06 flat. I mean, Johnson keeps going like 2:03-ish range and then putting a bad lap together right after it. So it seems like it's, you know, his pace is so strong when he's really on it, but it's just that type of lap right there that's killing him. A 2:10.2, you know, and then to 2:06.0 out of Prin. That's 4 seconds lost that last lap alone, when, I mean, the lap before it he gained a second, but then lost 4, so he's kind of maybe pushing a little bit too hard, and that's what's really crushing him here late in this race. Stick on board with him here for a minute just because I want to see where he might be having problems, if he is, or if he's going to be able to put another lap together here. Turning sharp down the hill to just kind of go straight into this rut. Uh-oh, Nathan Prin went down. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's time for a good old-fashioned battle for the lead. 24 minutes into 250 Moto 2. And, oh, wait a minute. It's not just a battle for the lead. It's a battle for the overall. 2-1 versus 1-2. And look at that move by Johnson, just down the inside. Full send, and still hooks the rut to make the corner. So now Prin has to respond here. What is going to happen? Nathan Prynne got to regroup in a hurry and got to go after the lead if he can, and he's going to. He's going to try to shoot down the inside. Johnson trying to swoop to the outside. Wow, how did he still make that corner? He's going over the sharpest part of the bumps as he comes across. Does not even get a slight kick right or left and still makes the corner. I just do not get how suspension works in this game anymore. After years of playing pro in this game, it never did that for me, but somehow these guys have figured it out. And an incredible pass around the outside. So Prynne, right when he had his opportunity, the door swung wide open again, and Johnson just able to charge in a little bit harder to the outside and shut the door. Not over yet, but you can't let Johnson get a gap because he is just running a pace that's simply faster than Prynne. You've got to make him work for it and keep him on his toes. That was what was forcing the mistakes earlier. That was what was causing Johnson to every other lap, it seemed like, have an off lap, a slide out, a mistake here or there, whatever it was. So Prynne, you can see pushing the envelope, blowing ruts at the bottom of the hill, and Johnson saying, thank you very much. I will take a few more tenths here, a few more tenths there. Johnson in some lap traffic problems here. Oh, man. I think that's Dylan Love, who's in 20th. So he's trying to score a point right there. And he is being hounded by, is that Colton Hansen, I think? I couldn't quite catch the number, but someone is right on his tail. Now Prynne is having to deal with these two guys who are trying to fight for points. And Prynne goes down. And that might spell the end of the day in terms of the overall decision. So it was going so well for so long for Prynne, and then crashes on back-to-back laps have really been his undoing here. And Johnson now sitting in a perfect position to go 1-1 and extend his championship lead. Here is Luke Sullivan, though. Still back here in third. Much better day for him than at Fox Raceway, but losing points to the championship leaders all the while. Sean Klein is still fourth. Cooper Hunt, they're in fifth. Seth Carr working around a lapped rider in sixth. Wilcox has gotten up to seventh. Jaden Wilson slipped back to eighth. Trevor Burns now finds himself in ninth. Cochran in 10th. Tharp 11th. Irvine here in 12th. Frank Jackson coming up the hill there in 13th. Logan Leitzel now 14th. 15th for Neil Fitzpatrick. 16th for Seth Shirley. Shirley trying to have a much better second moto after a dismal first moto, finishing down in 31st. For his standards, that has not been good this year for what he has been putting down. So trying to recover well for that and put the pressure here on Fitzpatrick. Wofford 17th here. Next rider that will be lapped, actually, right behind him, actually, will be Ryan Pinkerton on the AEO Power Sports number 395. But there goes your race leader, Johnson, around him. And then Dylan Love on the Pro Line Designs 174. Colton Hansen just behind him. And Riley Hewen, I think, is in the final points paying position. No, excuse me, he is in 21st. And Ethan Gers is right behind him, then Phil Bull. So it's just a bit of a freight train of very talented riders outside of the points coming up the hill right there. So back out front, and boy, oh boy, has the gap opened up. It is a sizable margin now back to Nathan Prynne in second. And that's just unfortunate because that race was building up to be quite a good one down the stretch. Obviously, if you're Johnson, you're stoked. This is exactly how you were hoping it would go when you were slowly closing on Prynne there. But the mistakes kept piling up, and suddenly, before you know it, Prynne was the one making the mistakes. So Johnson dropping down the hill. And then you can see Prynne here. I mean, Prynne is, what, 30 seconds down now? 24 seconds? That happened so fast. That went from, 10-second lead for Prynne to a 24-second disadvantage in 5 minutes. And Johnson coming down looking at 3 to go as 40 seconds remain on the clock. He will not get back around again. So a 2-lap board will be out next time by. Let's try to find ourselves a battle perhaps. Not really much going on. Perhaps Jaden Wilson closing on Wilcox for 7th is a good one to keep an eye on here. So Wilson 2:06.6 last time by. He's inching closer and closer to Wilcox ahead of him. And as mentioned, time just expired, so 30 minutes have come and gone. And that was Klein getting up sideways right there. So these two both just gained another spot, with Wilcox moving up to 6th and Wilson now finding himself in 7th. Mistake for Wilcox, and Wilson goes by and then runs into a group of downed riders. That was Ivan Medina was one of them. There goes Klein back by, so the second Wilson shoots into 6th, runs into some lap traffic issues there, and has it all to do again. Going to get right back around Sean Klein, but man, Wilcox just kind of fortunate there, I guess, to have made the mistake when he did. Otherwise, he would have been collected right with that group, just as we saw there with Jaden Wilson. Ooh, battle for 3rd brewing. Cooper Hunt has caught Luke Sullivan. How about this ride for Cooper Hunt to come from the back here a little bit and almost make the pass? Is he going to get it done here to the outside? Still bar to bar. Oh, big whip there for Sullivan. Hunt down the inside, though, should have this line covered off unless Sullivan pulls the Payson Johnson extraordinaire. Doesn't quite get it done. And Hunt able to go by into 3rd, but this battle is not quite over just yet. Sullivan's going to look for his opportunity to fight back. 32-second lead for Johnson now. I mean, Print at this point is in danger of a few more mistakes and falling into the clutches of this group, as Hunt makes another mistake, and Sullivan says, "Thank you very much, sir. I will gladly take that one back." And the battle continues. So as mentioned, they are getting the 2-lap board right there, and Johnson about a half a lap away from getting the white flag out front, going 1-1 on the day. And I'm pretty sure that right now this is a battle for 3rd overall, because Sullivan is looking at a 4-3, which would obviously take it, but Hunt is at a 5-4 right now. If it swaps, Hunt would have a 5-3 versus Sullivan's 4-4, and Hunt with the better second moto score should land on the box. Logan Leitzel 3rd in the first moto, not in the mix right here, so this is essentially a battle for not only 3rd in this moto, but 3rd overall on the day. Looks like Sullivan's kind of stretched it out just a little bit as they're putting Dylan Love a lap down right there. So white flag should be coming out right about, let's see, maybe 5 more seconds and white flag comes out, given where these guys are on the track. There you go. White flag waving up right-hand corner of your screen. And Hunt still stalking Luke Sullivan for 3rd in the race. It's remaining pretty close. It seems like Hunt's got his spots where he's a little bit better. Sullivan's got his spots. Look at that cheeky line landing sideways into the corner. Now has the inside option here. Almost side by side, dropping down before the double. Little kick out dualies. I don't like sending the big dualies unless it's big dualies, if you know what I mean. But that was not the big ones. Hunt didn't lay it over far enough, and a little mistake right there. He had to cut the track to stay in touch, so he might lose this one on cuts if it stays this close, even if he gets around Sullivan. But they're about to get the white flag themselves. So there you go, white flag waving left side of your screen. And this battle for third is everything. A podium, more points, podium in a moto, podium overall. And these guys both want it very, very badly. Look at Hunt. Shows him a wheel and pushes him out. I think Sullivan just was a kind of an unforced error there, really. I don't think Hunt actually got a nose in there. I think Sullivan just went a little too hard into the corner trying to keep it ahead. And Hunt pounces and gets by. Now Sullivan's going to try to fight back. These guys have a huge gap back to Jaden Wilson behind them, so they can pretty much go all out here on this last lap of the race. And a little mistake there for Sullivan's going to cost him. He's going to have to regroup here because Hunt has pulled it back out a little bit. Meanwhile, as these guys come down the hill, ooh, Johnson down with several riders here. That is Nate Brow, who he was down with. Dylan Love, no, I'm sorry, that's Neil Fitzpatrick going by. But anyway, so Johnson, late crash here, doesn't make a difference because he has resurged through the motos in this one. A double victory on the day for Payson Johnson as he brings it down. And Johnson wins the overall here at Thunder Valley. Prin, Hunt, oh, Sullivan did go down. And that will end that battle for the final podium spot, which will go to Cooper Hunt with a 5-3. Nathan Prin should go 2-2 for second overall on the day. And keeping an eye on perhaps some developing battles here down the field. Jaden Wilson, Sean Klein, fairly close together. Seth Carr in the mix as well. Ooh, nice scrub off the lip there for Carr. Oh, and now he goes down. So Seth Carr getting a little too frisky off of the scrub jump there. And he might lose 2 spots out of this because here comes Trevor Burns. And I thought that might have been another one behind them, but it is not actually. It's the 58 of Gers. He's a lap down. Into the final corner, Carr trying to get back around Klein, not going to be enough. So it was Wilson from Wilcox, Klein, and then Carr with Burns 9th. And Cochran should round out the top 10 here. Braden Tharp down here in 11th. Daniel Irvine in 12th with Jonathan Alexander splitting them, but he is a lap down here. And looks like Irvine dropped off a little bit here. So into the final corner, it is going to be Cochran 10th, Tharp 11th, Irvine will be 12th, Frank Jackson will be 13th in this one, 14th. Last man on the lead lap here is Neil Fitzpatrick. And then the first man a lap down was Logan Leitzel for him in 15th. 16th was Lane Wofford, 17th for Ryan Pinkerton, 18th for Phil Bull, 19th for Colton Hansen, and 20th was Seth Shirley. We'll wait for cuts to come in here. There we go. Cuts are in. Let's see if anything changed. And interestingly enough, no, nothing changed. So Payson Johnson, 1-1 on the day, wins the overall here at Thunder Valley. Back to our intermission screen here, just hanging out in the booth. Kellen Brower here at Start Your Systems. Getting ready for 450 Moto number 2 coming up after the 250 overall has been decided. How's chat doing? How you guys looking tonight? Looks like things are going fantastic here. Hey, Payson, dropping by the chat with a big old woo! Good to see Johnson back on form here tonight. crushing the competition. As we wait for 450 Moto number 2 to get loaded in. And we'll get one more 30 plus 2 done here tonight and send you guys on your merry way. Hayden's 312 in the chat just said he went 28-26 for his personal best of the year. So Hayden Stevenson, nicely done. Little shout out from the track to the chat, baby. I like that setup though. That's a good setup. You don't see too many people rock the showy helmets anymore. I still feel like they look pretty dang good with the right helmet paint. And I feel like that one's a pretty good one in my opinion, so I dig the setup. Thank you, Jack Roy Lee, for the compliment. Appreciate it. Hopefully you guys are enjoying yourselves tonight. I certainly am. Nothing like a casual Wednesday night sim racing. Good stuff. All right, 450 Moto number 2 coming up next. Reminder again, please go to eatrjerky.com. Help out the folks at R Jerky. Help out us here on the stream because these lovely people right here have come on board onto the streams with us this year, and they're offering you guys a just really good discount. SYS20 is the code over there for 20% off your order, and definitely check them out, and atom.com. All the stuff he does with his music career and his merch line over there. Definitely check him out. So we thank them for coming on board. Let's see. What do we got? Do y'all have a bikes team for SYS? Yes, we do. But the same answer I give everybody that asks to be on the bikes team is like, look, we really don't add people to the team unless you're like part of the crew hanging out. Like I don't just add people to the team because I want people on the team. I add people to the team because like we're just all hanging out together, having a good time, playing different games. Like we don't just play bikes, we play a lot of different games. So if you play all those other games with us, you might hang out with us. And if you hang out with us, you might join the bikes team. It's not going to be like we just add you because I need another rider or something like that. So let's see. Disco Rico real quick. Ethan Lennox says, I wonder if the teams like Johnson in the beginning of the race talk it out like Dungey and Marvin in Supercross to take a different line to move and let the points leader by. I'll tell you, it's not the, it's not uncommon in sim. Well, it's rare, but it does happen in sim. We've seen championship leaders be gifted a position to allow their teammate basically lets them go by so that they can score more points kind of thing. So that definitely happens. What do I think of Sexton's performance? I thought Sexton rode fantastic all weekend long. He, unfortunately got caught up in that first turn crash, so that was a bummer. But he rode back up to 10th. Similar story with Jason Anderson. I feel like Jason Anderson is getting like no credit this weekend. He crashed in the third corner of the first moto and then finished 10th. And then the second moto, he was like 18th or 19th the first lap and charged all the way through those really good riders to finish 4th. So I think both of them had pretty similar days, in my opinion. Greetings from Chile, says Manises21. No, greetings from the USA, good sir. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you're having a good time. I think in Chile you guys speak Portuguese, right? But otherwise I'd say buenos noches, which is, I guess, still good evening or good night in Spanish. And then don't you say... I don't remember what evening is in Spanish. I know how to say good evening in German, or good night. I think you say guten Abend. What's with Tomac? Good question. Let me know when you find out the answer. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, time for the final race of the night here in Thunder Valley. It's 450 moto number 2. Let's see what happens in this one to determine the overall win in the 450 class. It's time to drop the gate one final time. Oh, Eagland hit the gate on the 24. It's a land rush into the first corner. Contact with Lang and Gebhardt. They get pushed wide, and it's a huge crash. Big crash in the first corner. A lot of riders get involved. Luke Magnetti has got the Studio 8 Whole Shot Award, but it's going to be Leclerc right behind him in second and Fjellberg in third, and Gebhardt was down with Lang in the first corner, so some of your heavy hitters getting shuffled around early on, and Leclerc in a great position to take off and run away with this thing. As Magnetti leads down the hill in the first lap. Oh my gosh, almost through the front door. He's definitely going down. Magnetti off the bike for the first couple of sections are even done. And now it's a foreign flavor galore out front. Leclerc, rider out of Picardy, France on the number 1. Rockstar Energy Husqvarna leads ahead of Phil's KTM effort number 3 out of Oslo, Norway. That's Dennis Fjellberg in second. Jacob Hubbard on that Phil's KTM runs in third with Chase Blakely in fourth. Braden Carter with a much better start this time around in fifth. Austin Baer in sixth. Jeremy Kohnauer seventh. Colby Eagland, he hit the gate in the first corner, heading into the first corner. It might actually saved him because he ends up in seventh here, battling it out with Caden Speck, who's going to go by him. And somehow, some way, despite the heavy contact with Gebhardt, Tyler Lang is going to end up inside the top 10 here on the first lap of the race. So Lang, who lost the first moto by 1/10 of a second on cuts, not in a good position here to get away early out front in this one, but somehow did not go down in that melee apparently, and comes through inside of the top 10 before the first lap is over. But it is Leclerc leading, and that is dangerous, bad news, whatever you want to call it for the rest of the field, because this guy is lethal, especially give him clean track early in the runnings, and he'll do pretty much just does a Jeremy McGrath. Jeremy McGrath was well known in his days when he raced Supercross. More or less sprinting for the first 10 laps of the race and cruising the last 10. So in this case, Leclerc, kind of more or less known for sprinting the first 15 minutes and putting down qualifying laps and settling into a pace once he's got like some ridiculous 30-second lead or whatever. And that looks like what he's pretty much trying to do right now. Early on here in 450 motor number 2. Fjellberg already losing touch, and then a 3-rider battle going on here for third as Carter trying to go up the inside. This is really the first time we have seen Carter anywhere near the front this year. It has been a tough road for your newly crowned 450 Supercross champion. Just has not really got the starts that he needs to be battling out front. This is the first good start he's had all season long, and he's already making pretty good work on it because he's moved his way into third. He's going to try to close up on his teammate Fjellberg in second. And who knows, maybe Carter could be one of the few guys that paces Leclerc like we saw a lot in Supercross. You can see Carter already closing up a little bit onto Fjellberg ahead of him. Charging down the hill, you can see the track is smoother than it was in the later stages of that 250 moto, but that's because the track resets every time. If you're just joining us, there isn't a road system. The track wears away slowly but surely throughout the moto, but it does reset every single time. You can't carry it over, as we got kind of oppo dualies getting thrown there. Carter is really putting in the work here. He caught his teammate in a hurry, and Dennis is just dealing with this pressure as Leclerc continues to streak away out front. A 6-second lead already for Leclerc. It gives you indication probably as to why Carter is so adamant to get around his teammate here as fast as he can. Maybe keep Leclerc close to some degree. Carter to the outside, cuts back across. Look at that battle going on back there. I don't want to switch away from this one just yet because it seems like Carter is moments away from making a pass on Fjellberg here. But this is crazy going on back here. Lang just got around Hubbard. Eagland's in the mix. They're all trying to catch Blakely just ahead of them. These are 4 of some of the best riders in the game, nose to tail as well. And Lang is pretty much just trying to get through this group, I think, as fast as he can to kind of do exactly what Carter is doing, as Carter still has not got around his teammate Fjellberg yet. Fjellberg seems like by the time Carter got there, Fjellberg figured it out a little bit and has upped his pace. Not enough so that he's keeping Leclerc anywhere close, but enough so to keep Carter behind him instead. That roller, the table into the back here. Carter is just putting all kinds of pressure onto Fjellberg. Charging down the hill. Carter, does he go for the inside move here? Fjellberg just kind of lets him have it, it seems like. I think maybe Fjellberg was thinking of swooping to the inside line like we saw Johnson in the last moto, but then he made a mistake and didn't want to shut the door on his teammate too hard. Now Carter is the one to make the next mistake, and Fjellberg gets right back by him. We got dualies over the table. And Carter just trying to figure something out. He had it. Like, he had the pass made, and the very next corner made a mistake, and we're right back to square one. The only difference is they both lost a little bit more ground to Leclerc that last time by, so the gap continues to extend with Leclerc out front. Meanwhile, Lang is kind of sneaking into the picture there in the background. Inside move, Carter trying to get his teammate again. Oh no, and he goes down, pushing too hard. Front end misses the inside rut, and there goes that entire group by him. So Blakely went by Eagland, Hubbard, and Lang all through, and Fjellberg survives the barrage to hold on to second, but already 11 seconds down on Leclerc, not even 7 minutes into this moto. So you can see what two riders in the heat of a battle kind of does. You think sometimes maybe they're training ahead, but more or less they're holding each other up because they're riding defensive or attacking here or there or trying different things, and they just can't focus on putting on clean laps as Eagland temporarily makes a pass on Hubbard. Hubbard charges back to the outside, but then Eagland shoots right back by him. Hubbard nails a triple up the hill. He's trying to get back to the inside again, but thinks better of it and backs out of the challenge. So these two charging down the hill. Big table there, and back through the switchback. Seems like Eagland is trying to keep pace with Lang, and of course Lang wants to close up on Fjellberg for second. Oh, Fjellberg tucks the front wheel in the mechanics area, and easy done in the end. Lang through, and Eagland coming. And Hubbard's with these guys as well. So Lang now to second, 14 seconds behind Leclerc. We'll see if he can run similar laps or if it's a little too late at this point. The outside, Eagland trying to work on something for Fjellberg. Oh man, Fjellberg cuts back across. Look at this three-rider battle over the finish line jump though. Outside perhaps for Eagland. No, that line's just too far out there, and even Hubbard kind of closed up a little bit because of it. And they can still see Lang just ahead of them. Hubbard up the inside. Oh no, Eagland pushes him back out. Hubbard had a wheel on Eagland, but Eagland was not going to give him an inch to that inside of the corner there. So Hubbard backed out of the challenge, and as such lost a little bit of ground to this group. Eagland again going to try to go down the inside on Fjellberg down this hill. Fjellberg the outside to in, cuts the line off, and Eagland has to go to the middle rut to settle. So Hubbard's going to get an advantage out of that because Eagland lost a little bit of time switching his lines. All the while, Braden Carter has snuck back into the picture here. So Carter, who was up front early on, is now right into the mix. And this has developed into a four-rider battle, and they're not far off of Lang, just ahead of him. Oh, mistake. Eagland tucks the front wheel. Hubbard and Carter go round. Fjellberg always tossing the filthy whips there in third. Now Hubbard, he's going to try to get his teammate for third. Look at this. Where is Hubbard coming from? Out of nowhere, he's made 2 quick passes and he's through. So Lang still just up the road of him. Inside move for Carter on Fjellberg and the Phil's KTM team. Oh, dualies over the double. And the battle unravels a little bit more as Fjellberg is kind of falling into the clutches of everybody here. Gets passed by Hubbard, gets passed by Eagland, gets passed by Carter. Here comes Eagland up the inside trying to get him as well. And Triley's over the uphill triple, outside in. Eagland trying to get around Fjellberg and does so. He's going to try to close the door to the outside here, and Fjellberg has no mode of attack. So now who is going to be the next person to budge in this battle? There it is, actually, a mistake out of Hubbard. Carter kind of has to react to it, almost comes to a stop. Now he makes a mistake. Eagland's going to pull alongside up the hill, and Eagland gets around Carter. Oh, Carter into the back of him, though, and they both go down. Oh, that's unfortunate. Carter kind of scrubbed a little hard, and it pitched him left. So Eagland, who is just kind of unsuspecting on the left side of the track, gets hit, and now into the picture comes Adam Holm. So Adam Holm, taking advantage of some mistakes here, though avoiding Carter allows Eagland through as Carter hits the deck again, and Eagland fights back around. So kind of resetting everything now. Leclerc, he's looking at a pretty sizable lead. We'll give like a top 10 rundown by looking at the mechanics area here as Leclerc goes through out front. And it's going to be a little while before you see that flash of green there in the background. That is Tyler Lang coming down the hill in second place. There is the number 14 Underground RC effort coming through. Behind that should be Jacob Hubbard on the number 11 Phil's KTM. His teammate Dennis Fjellberg on the 3. Then comes right behind that that's Colby Eagland going through in 5th. 6th is Adam Holm. 7th now is Devin Davis on the 29. Good effort for him. And how about this battle here? Carter dealing with some pressure from Chase Blakely and Jeremy Seabolt. So Seabolt, who DNF'd the first moto, coming back with a vengeance. Dualies out of Blakely and Carter just up the road. Seabolt trying to take advantage. Gets to the inside of Blakely as well. Pushes him out and temporarily makes the pass. Blakely trying to fight back in the next corner. Settles in behind, though. So huge dualies between Blakely and Carter. Seabolt absolutely flying, though, and this has been his MO so far this year. When he figures it out, he is pretty lethal still, but it's few and far between. When he won the 2020 Supercross Championship, Seabolt was kind of on the level that he's riding at right now, but he was doing it every week. It's just not been that Seabolt this year at all. So instead, he is working on making the pass on the man who took the crown away from him, Braden Carter, 2021 450 Supercross champion. Mistake for Carter. Seabolt's going to pounce on that every step of the way. Carter trying to fight back to the inside. Seabolt lets him have it. I thought for sure Seabolt was going to shut the door, but no, Carter right back up the inside, gets around him. Meanwhile, we have a report that Leclerc went down, and it does appear so. Lang is much closer now. So we'll keep an eye on that battle. How about this battle instead, though? Seabolt, Carter pushing up onto the back of Devin Davis. Charging down the hill, Davis to that middle rut. Carter, had he got the inside clean, he may have had a shot at the pass, but he didn't quite get it as smooth as he had hoped. So this three-rider battle, oh, Carter sends it in, a mistake, and Seabolt takes advantage. So Jeremy Seabolt Now finds his way up into 7th. Excuse me, 8th. And Devin Davis is occupying 7th. They're trying to close up on Colby Eaglin just ahead of him. Just about to hit the halfway point of this one. So once this battle kind of maybe settles down a little bit, we'll give you guys a top 20 rundown. Riders off the track, coming back on. Seabolt peeks up the inside around Devin Davis. Wow, not many people have made a pass there tonight. And Carter's just going to follow suit right through up the inside. So these two are trying to perhaps push each other forwards a little bit here. And the battle between them continues, but it really almost more or less appears like it's a hot lap contest right now. They're kind of pushing each other. Next up would be Adam Holm just ahead of them going down the hill on his atom.com number 17. Carter trying to sweep around the outside, but then settles in right behind Seabolt. These two have been putting together some pace, though. You can see just up the road landing there is Eagland, and then Holm right behind that. 6 seconds is the gap, Lang to Leclerc. So not much in it. Hubbard about 11 seconds off of them, then another 6 back to Fjellberg, and another 6 or 7 back to Eagland, and then this battle coming through here. So these guys 32 seconds off the lead right now. Seabolt and Carter definitely catching Holm in a hurry. Oh, Seabolt scrubs so hard off of that step down. And these two, their pace is incredible. Look at how fast they caught Holm. It was less than a lap, and they're already on him. So Holm perhaps a bit of a sitting duck here because Jeremy Seabolt and Braden Carter are 2 men on a mission right now. And talked about it a moment ago, but Seabolt, you get him in this zone, and he is still arguably the fastest rider in the world in this game. It's definitely close between him and Leclerc when they're on it. You can put someone like Gebhardt in the mix as well. Of course, Carter indoors was electrifying on many occasions. And lately, Tyler Lang has kind of moved his way into discussion for that as well. Look at Seabolt, though, and Carter both laying it down. Looks like Holm just kind of let him go. And honestly, that's not the worst idea. I've seen that happen before. Heck, I've done it before. Sometimes you get a guy or two like these guys behind you that are just, they're putting down a pace that you know is going to be tough to keep. There's so much of the race left to go. So it's almost better to either let them go and let them crash, or let them go and try to latch on and do some of their lines, do some of the things they're doing, instead of get yourself caught up with something, perhaps a desperation pass from behind up the inside that you don't know is coming type of situation there. But we've just been eyeing Seabolt and Carter for these laps here. All the while, Eagland is actually catching up to Hubbard ahead of him. So it's kind of like everybody behind is slowly inching up to this group up ahead. And then, of course, we still have Leclerc leading ahead of Lang. We'll do a lap time check this time by 2:05.2. It's a 6-second gap. And a 2:05 flats. Oh, Leclerc down! Leclerc has gone down, and Lang is going to take the lead. Alexis Leclerc hits the deck, and Tyler Lang is back out front at Thunder Valley. That'll be the overall win as well. After he technically won the first moto and then lost it on cuts, he finished 2nd. Therefore, Leclerc is looking at 1-2 to Lang's 2-1, and now we got a race. Now this is going to get interesting. All the while, still trying to keep an eye on this battle back here for 4th. Hubbard, Eagland, Seabolt, Carter, all coming together. Rider down out of the corner there, but that was a lapped rider, so these guys will continue on. And you can see Holm has actually kind of lost touch with this group, so it seems like the pace has been upped by Hubbard and Eagland here. Dropping down the hill. You can see Siebold just inching closer and closer to his teammate Colby Eagland. I like what Siebold does there more than the triple up the hill. I get the tripling up, downsiding it. Your momentum stays up, but Siebold's like scrubbing the double so hard that he almost just flat doubles it without losing any speed. And a mistake as Hubbard goes off the track. Then Eagland blows the corner. So double whammy, and then Carter went down. So Carter down in the off camber. Holm goes by him. Hubbard makes a big mistake, so Eagland goes around him, but then Eagland makes a mistake in his own right, so Siebold goes by to move into fourth. And things are changing every lap. We got a report that Leclerc went down again, and it certainly appears so. Lang has got a sizable lead now on him. So Fjellberg and then Siebold. Siebold closing up to third here in a hurry. .2032 last time by, Siebold's personal best. And at this rate, I mean, what could he do about Leclerc? Leclerc's done a 202, but he just did a 225 with double fall-offs last time by. And Siebold, if he can keep this breakneck pace up, he's only going to be about 8 seconds or so behind Leclerc. Once he can make a pass on Fjellberg, which might be coming right now. Fjellberg a mistake, and Siebold almost into the rear tire. Look at this, down the inside. Oh, hops through the bumps and takes them both down. So Eagland goes back by. It's a double slide out. Siebold just kind of could not get stopped for the inside there and takes them both down. Meanwhile, Holm dealing with pressure from Carter and Hubbard. Coming down the hill. Carter sweeping through into the corner, but again, doesn't get the inside line that's the preferred option there. Although, man, he kind of made that middle line work really well. And Hubbard goes for the triple up the hill, nearly 3 wide to the top. Oh, Carter gets a legs off from hitting the SpongeBob on the inside, hit his head on it, and instant fall off. Those are weird looking crashes, but that's exactly what happened right there. So Holmes survives the attack there from Carter, but it's not over yet because here comes Hubbard. Hubbard down the inside, gonna get by Holm, but momentarily he makes a mistake. Holm back to the outside. Who's gonna get the drive into this corner? Still Hubbard. And he's got him. He shuts the door, dropping off the hill there. Nicely done in the end. Back up ahead. Siebold has got back around Eagland. So a little bit of time was lost to Leclerc. Now he's 14 seconds down. Leclerc just did a 2:05.7. And, of course, Siebold's going to do like a 2:09 here. 2:07.7, I should say. Eagland did a 2:07 flat. But, of course, Siebold was ahead of him when this lap started. So 13 seconds looks like it's going to be a pretty tall task unless some more crashing out of Leclerc occurs. For Siebold to get to your defending champion here. But Leclerc looks like he is maybe trying to regroup a little bit here and perhaps hope for a mistake out of Lang. Lang, in turn, looking for his second career 450 moto win, his first career 450 overall win, and at least not allow Leclerc to extend the points lead. It'll remain a 7-point gap. This is not over just yet. Lang just went down, actually. So Lang went down. He is kind of mixed together with some lap traffic as well. Leclerc now just 6 seconds down. Siebold 14 seconds behind that. So if things get kind of linked up towards the end of this race here, if like Leclerc can catch up to Lang and we get a battle on our hands, if those two get together and go down, you can't count Siebold out of this. Eagland is still within striking distance, of course, of Siebold too. So this race is not cut and dry just yet. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . Over the finish line jump, Lang goes. 25 minutes have gone, and 5 minutes and 2 laps still remain. Leclerc back here in the 2 spot. Wow, Seabolt has closed a lot. Leclerc must have gone down again. Yeah, 15 seconds down is Leclerc, so Leclerc hit the deck again somewhere. And this is going to get tightened up in a hurry. Seabolt is flying. Eagland is coming with him. And these two are kind of feeding off each other a little bit. I think this is more or less a case where Seabolt has just got his eyes ahead of him, and Eagland is so focused on Seabolt ahead of that Seabolt's ridiculous pace to catch up to the group in front of him is feeding into what Eagland is able to do behind him, because he's just focusing on what Seabolt's doing. Oh, big mistake coming down the hill there for Caden Speck, who is a lap down in 28th. All right, so Lang, with under 4 minutes and 2 laps to go, has his lead reestablished. It kind of comes down to what happens in this battle for second between Leclerc, Seabolt, and Eagland. And Eagland seems like every time he loses a little bit, he gains it right back to Seabolt. He is not letting that number 9 machine go. Oh, little mistake right there, though. Got a kick out. But then look at that. Like I said, he gets a couple corners clean right after that, and then suddenly Seabolt is not too far ahead of him. Really going to be interested to see lap time check this time by on Leclerc versus these guys. Are they gaining, or is it stagnating a little bit? Man, seems like Seabolt is just kind of falling back into the clutches of Eagland. 206 flat, another 206 flat for Seabolt, a 205.7 for Leclerc. So yeah, Leclerc is actually stretching it out just ever so slightly on these guys. And with time slowly expiring, it's going to need a few either small mistakes or one big fall-off crash for Leclerc for things to shift in the favor of Seabolt and Eagland behind. A 15-second lead still for Lang. You got Carter back here in 5th. Fjellberg is 6th. Hubbard in 7th. Blakely in 8th. Holm 9th. Gebhardt right now is in 10th. Janis runs in 11th. Devin Davis here in 12th. 13th for Braden Castellaneta. 14th is William St. Laurent. 15th for Robert Wilson. 16th for Luke Magnetti. 17th for Kyle Carpenter. 18th for Roy Mitchell. 19th for Daniel Mills. And 20th for Jeremy Konauer, with Jack Haley on the 2-stroke right behind him. So some good battling back here, kind of in that 18, 19, 20 range, as Haley trying really hard to get around Konauer there. But I just don't want to miss out on what might happen with this overall battle. As Lang continues to lead, and with 29 minutes coming up on the clock, he should still get around one more time here. But it'll be 3 to go this time by, almost no question about it. Now it seems like it's kind of coming down to a battle for third, if anything, between Eagland and Seabolt. So it's pretty much that the overalls out front are decided. Lang will win the overall with a 2-1. Leclerc will finish second with a 1-2. Eagland is almost guaranteed third right now. He's going to get a 3-4 for third after Seabolt did not finish the first moto in 40th place. So Eagland is sitting third overall right now, but he would ideally like to go 3-3 for third if he could. Although I guess in this case, these guys still would like to get to Leclerc if they can. But 3 to go to figure it all out. Ooh, little kick out there. And Eagland in this gap, it's just stayed right about 2 seconds this entire time. 207.1, 207.5. I mean, they're running the same pace. Leclerc up ahead, 205 flats, so 7 seconds back now is Seabolt. It seemed like all that speed that Seabolt was carrying to get into third, it kind of leveled off by the time he got there, which could be a good thing because he may have just kept pushing the envelope as the track got rougher and eventually kind of had the same issues that Walter Gebhardt had at the end of the first moto with too many crashes. But right now he is leveled off, and third looks like it'll be where he ends up unless Colby Eagland can say something about it. Time has expired. 2-lap card about to come out for Tyler Lang, who is kind of stuck in some big traffic right now, but he just got around a few guys to make it a little easier on himself. Oh, almost through the front door for Eagland there. I thought that view was shifting a little bit faster, but he looks like he was just kind of doing a little rear brake tap and throwing us off. Uh-oh, Seabolt a mistake, and Eagland is going to be right here. Question is, does he play nice or settle into a bit of a pace and just kind of try to push his teammate again? Gonna try to shoot up the inside here. Not quite close enough, and Seabolt gets the drive up the hill. So important on this track. It's just every single straightaway is on a hill. There's only like 2 straightaways on the whole track that don't have some sort of elevation change to it. So it's all about carrying momentum. Even on these 450s, which have really good bottom end power in this game. Claire still here at the bottom of the hill going up the other way. Has been quite flawless since that mistake that cost him time about 3 or 4 laps ago. What's the gap at between him and Lang now? 13 seconds. It's come down 206.3 to 206.2, so I guess they leveled off last lap 206.7. Leclerc is about to hit some lap traffic though. We'll see whether or not any of that's a factor. One of them will be the 2019 450 Supercross champion Jack Haley. Jumping down the hill, Leclerc just going to try to weave his way through some of this lap traffic if he can. Make life a little easier on himself. And the white flag has been waved for Tyler Lang out front, looking for his first career 450 overall victory, and Seabolt has finally gotten rid of Colby Eagland. So some crashing must have occurred there as Eagland has gotten shuffled back. And Braden Carter 5th. Dennis Fjellberg here in 6th. Jacob Hubbard behind him in 7th. Ooh, Chase Blakely just went down in 8th. Where is that? Oh, that's after the mechanics area. So Adam Holm went by to move into 8th. Blakely gets going in 9th. And Matthias Janis rounds out your top 10 here on the last lap of the race. Nothing really close in terms of a battle. So we'll give this man some props where it is due. Tyler Lang. Much different method to get to the front this moto than it was the first moto, as he led just so much of the first moto. And actually, I mean, basically led the entire first moto. Literally crossed the finish line jump in first place in the first moto. But thanks to the penalty system that is associated with this game, based on off-track excursions, if you will, missing timing gates, cutting sections of the track, Lang was penalized a half second after the race, and that was just enough to give Alexis Leclerc the Moto 1 victory. Otherwise, honestly, Lang, if he just gets the last corner clean on the first moto, he has a 1-1 score on the docket today. So I'm sure he'll look back and kind of kick himself a little bit over that. But Can't be too discouraged by it. A very, very strong day for Tyler Lang in what will be his first career 450 overall victory. And after so much frustration in Supercross of not being able to get his first Supercross victory out of the way, this will be a very sweet feeling for him to finally cross as a moto winner and an overall winner. Here it is, final corner. Tyler Lang's done it. Lang, your winner today in Colorado. Leclerc crosses the line here in second. Almost, at least, slides out in the last corner, but he'll still get second, no problem. Seabolt did get it fairly close in the end to Leclerc, 5 seconds down, but he will end up third in this one. He'll go 40-3 for probably somewhere like the 11th overall range or so. And Eaglin crosses the line fourth. Immediate disconnect. I think he was a little disappointed with that. Carter fifth, though. Much better ride this time around for him. Dennis Fjellberg, solid day for him. Looking to go 8-6 in this one. So Fjellberg crosses the line sixth here in 450 Moto number 2. Jacob Hubbard, wow, slides it down before the finish line. Is that going to cost him a spot? No. Holm got close, but Holm crosses the line in 8th behind him, half a second down, so it could come down to cuts. Chase Blakely up and over the finish line jump in 9th. And Matthias Janis will bring it home in 10th for Underground RC today. Janis 6th in the first moto, 10th in this one. Braden Castellaneta looking at an 11th here after 14th in the first moto for him. Devin Davis gonna go 12-12 today. Hey, solid day for Davis, unless Robert Wilson has something to say about it. Robert Wilson 13th in the first moto, so these two literally going 12-12, 13-13, unless something changes in the last turn. No, Davis 12th, Wilson 13th, 12-12, 13-13. Luke Magnetti 14th in this one, Gebhardt 15th, and Magnetti in the first moto was 7th, and Gebhardt, of course, was 4th. Kyle Carpenter finishes 16th in the second moto. Carpenter goes 16-16 on the day. William St. Laurent, he finishes this one up in 17th. He was 22nd in the first moto. And Jeremy Cohenauer bringing this one down. Rough first moto for him, 26th in the first moto, but he is guaranteed 18th here as he is the last rider on the lead lap. Hollywood Wascom, who I believe is Jet Wisdom, I think, was 30th in the first moto, 19th here. And Roy Mitchell will finish 20th in this one after 19th in the first moto for him, making up our points paying positions. We'll wait for cuts to come in, get some official results. And looks like Gebhardt leapfrogged Robert Wilson on cuts for 13th. But the rest stayed the same. Lang, your big winner here today at Thunder Valley. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is going to do it for us here tonight, live on Start Your Systems. Kellen Brower in the booth one last time saying thanks so much for tuning in and joining us for round 2 of the 2021 RaceFactory Gaming Pro Motocross Championship NMX Simulator from Thunder Valley. We'll be back, I think, next week, actually, for High Points, so you won't want to miss that. We'll be a week ahead of the schedule, I guess, or maybe we have next week off. I don't know. I'll have to check the schedule, but looking forward to any future races coming up. Of course, GPs we usually do on Monday night as well. We had Valkenswaard kicking off 2 weeks ago, and then this past Monday we also had Orleanak in Russia, so we got more GPs coming on the Mondays. Hopefully we'll see you guys then. Of course, one final shout out to rjerky, atom.com, and of course alexray.co for this sketchy t-shirt. Head over and get some sketchy merch from Alex Ray. Thanks for hooking it up, A-Ray. Appreciate it, buddy. And yeah, that's going to do it for round 2 here at Thunder Valley. But we hope to see you guys in all of our future streams on the channel as always. And thanks for stopping by and watching another edition of a broadcast here on Start Your Systems. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.